I think everybody's scared to death of that place. I'm terrified.
It's just that wild card race.
Any driver not locked in going to the Roval should be very, very concerned.
Keselowski, he'll win in Vegas. Kyle Busch is going to sweep the Richmond races.
I think the whole track is treacherous. It's really easy to step over the line. The hardest part of the Roval is all of it.
Charlotte Roval is overall just going to be one of the most challenging races of the postseason.
Surviving will be key and not making a mistake.
That Roval cutoff race, it's going to be gut-wrenching.
It's going to be crazy.
And let's take a look at the starting grid, brought to you by Bank of America. It will roll across the bottom of your screen as we're seeing the drivers roll around the Roval here at Charlotte. Let's tune into one of the drivers, Eric Jones, one of those drivers who needs a great day. He's on the radio.
Hey, Eric, it's Burton, NBC booth. You with us, buddy?
I got you.
Man, we've talked so much about how tough this racetrack. You tell us why it's so difficult.
Well, it's difficult for a lot of reasons. You know, the infield portion we're on now is really slick, and the oval section is challenging with the chicanes, especially the backstretch. It's so fast, and there's so much time to be gained and lost there that your risk versus reward is pretty high on each side. So it's just not easy to find a good balance, not easy to hit your marks perfect every lap. It's easy to slide tires, and get them hot, get them mad. So that's about 20% of it. I can keep talking for a while, but it's tough for a lot of reasons.
Well, Eric, one of the things we always watch on road courses is passing zones. Where do you think we'll see the most passes today?
Well, I think you'll see it probably here, just getting up to NASCAR Turn 1. You're going to see a lot of passing guys trying to get runs there and make a big move, probably in the infield off at 3. So there's a couple places where we can make some passes and try to make stuff happen, but I'll know better here probably, you know, as we get the race going more and more.
Eric, we know you have a lot on the line today. We really appreciate you taking time. Good luck, buddy.
Simple. Thank you, guys.
Well, we just talked to Eric Jones. We're lucky enough to be riding along with Eric Jones. The Toyota Cam has several shots today in Eric's car. He's got a start in the back in a backup car, so we're going to see a lot of cool shots from him. Jeffrey Earnhardt, the IK9 Racing for the Cure camera. Got the helmet cam for us. And Denny Hamlin, another guy. He's got a lot of work to do today. Coca-Cola cam. Got this bumper cam right here, Junior. I have a feeling that's going to come into play several times today.
On board Kevin Harvick's car, roof cam. He's also got the foot cam. It'd be great to see how he uses his feet to get around this racetrack. Kyle Larson with the first data camera. He's got the 360 camera. I think is going to show us a lot of great views. You see it turn around there. And then A.J. Allmendinger with the Kroger cam. Front bumper and splitter also, man. I love the splitter cam, man. It's going to show us a lot of cool stuff in the braking zones, how these guys are challenging and charging each other into the corners. It's going to be fun.
And we showed you the starting lineup. Kurt Busch and A.J. Allmendinger, they make up row 1. But right now, they're having a little fun. Sherry Pollux is the pace car driver. Martin Truex Jr., Sherry Pollux have been dating for many, many years. Sherry Pollux is driving the pace car because it is Cancer Awareness Month. And Sherry Pollux has been fighting ovarian cancer for a number of years. And so she is the pace car driver. That's actually the reason why the car that Martin Truex Jr. is driving is teal, because of her fight against ovarian cancer. That's the pace car driver today in Sherry Pollux. Martin Truex Jr. having a little fun moving up there and enjoying the moment with his longtime girlfriend, Sherry Pollux. And Steve, all right, let's break this race down. Now, it's a different race. It's a road course, but there's going to be so many different agendas that people are on.
So many different agendas and so much unknown. This is a racetrack we haven't seen. What we do know, though, is how the race will be broken down in length. It is a road course, 2.28 miles, 109 laps, 400 kilometers, 17 corners. Really the longest road course race we're going to see. The first and second stage, both 25 laps. The third and final stage, 59 laps. Guys, they can run about 35 to 37 laps on fuel. And why strategy is going to be a topic of conversation, I don't think anything is going to dominate the conversation more than this very tricky racetrack.
We talk about this tricky racetrack. Here it is. Turn 3 is a corner that guys have been having problems with in practice and testing. Ricky Stenhouse getting loose there coming through turn 4, gets into the tire barrier. We'll see that today. Bubba Wallace, he's had a lot of trouble in all the corners this weekend.
Been a long weekend so far for Bubba Wallace. They roll around the rest of the infield onto the big track into this rear chicane trouble area. Denny Hamlin, second time he had troubles in the chicane, this time big damage, and we've seen this footage from Bubba Wallace, just huge impact. Again, they moved that wall back a little bit to try to help him. Eric Jones, and I think Eric Jones' wreck right here was because he was following another car. Visibility, watch right here as you're riding with Eric Jones. All of a sudden you can't see where you're going. Now he's in too deep, no way out. Takes his hands off the wheel to keep from getting injured. Then the front straightaway, heads to the front chicane. That also is a tight area, Junior.
Yeah, you see guys getting in there too hard. Brad losing control of his car into the outside wall. Emmerich yesterday missing the corner. You just have to abort, give up, go through that grass. But then you got to pull over here, Jeff, and stop, or NASCAR is going to make you do a drive-through. So this is what you got to do if you're a driver and you miss that chicane.
And then right back to the start-finish line where we think the chaos is going to start as restart zone.
You know, the restarts, they'll skip the chicane and restart that yellow zone. Keep all of it equal for all the competitors as they charge down into turn 1.
Equal as all the competitors dive into turn 1. I can't wait to see it. But before we get the green flag, let's check in with our on-track analyst, Parker Kligerman.
Well, guys, you pointed out there, this place is incredibly treacherous, but what makes this Roval track unique compared to a regular road course? It's the contrast in speed. You go from the over 170-mile-per-hour oval bank portions to behind me in turns 3 and 4, about 50 to 60 miles an hour, and it's that contrast in speed that makes this place incredibly tough for the teams to set up the cars and for the drivers to get comfortable inside these cars. I can't wait for this race, Dave.
Hey, Parker, for Clint Boyer, he can't wait either, but he's 4 points below the cut line in the playoffs to start the day. A couple things going for him. Dale Earnhardt Jr. called him a good road course racer. That is true. 10 times he's finished in the top 5 in this discipline, has a victory to his credit as well. And also, he didn't take much damage to his race car during practice. Crew Chief Mike Bugaravich told me he was one of the drivers that took a lot better care of his car, and he's going to need to do that today all race long, Kelly.
Well, Kurt Busch could not have picked a better time to score his 4th pole position of the season. He told me it was big, and now he's in prime position to score some good points at the end of stage 1. Beyond that, they'll be strategizing to set themselves up for good track position at the end of the race. Kurt's message to his team just a moment ago over the radio, nice and smooth all day long. He starts this one 15 points above the cut line, Marty.
Well, Kelly, pit road will be a story today. We're on top of the Peacock pit box. You're just talking about Kurt Busch. He's right here in stall number 4 by winning the pole. He got to select that. Now, pit road ends speed-wise at the end down here, the yellow line that goes all the way across pit road. That's where the timing line ends, and that's where things get interesting. From there, it is a hard 90-degree turn as fast as you want to go, and then a blend line. That is optional. A car can jump off of pit road, turn right into the middle of traffic. That should be very interesting if we have green flag stops today, Rick.
Thank you, Marty. And this racetrack is completely reconfigured. It is something that no one has ever seen. So we give you a little bit of a different perspective. Our aerial coverage provided by Bank of America. You see how the infield of this racetrack has been reconfigured into a road course. So that is the meaning for the Roval. Road course oval. And I know a lot of people have mentioned turtles. The blue curbing, that blue curbing that you see is 6 inches tall. That is to deter any of the drivers to get off of track. And some of the drivers have had a little bit of an opinion about these blue turtles.
The turtles, I don't know who named them the turtles, but them damn turtles, they're mean turtles. They're snapping turtles if they're turtles. You definitely got to stay away from them things.
You do not want to be bit by a snapping blue turtle.
Well, just think how much is on the line. You know, he says it in jest, but he's absolutely right. If you drive your car over those blue curbs continuously today, it's not going to make it. It will not finish the race. There is a deterrent, and they are working.
2 by 2, the field now working their way through what is normally known as 3 and 4. At this racetrack, it is 14 and 15. They will go by the chicane as we get ready for the start. They're going to dive into Heartburn Turn, which is turn number 1, side by side. Green flag in the air. We're racing at the Roval.
Good clean start. First time these guys have been through here too wide.
Real good start for Kyle Larson. Up to second place here, putting the pressure on our leader, Kurt Busch. The tight line Kyle Larson has. He has a good wide entry. Look at him, almost in position to make him look for a pass there. That was pretty competitive there, pretty aggressive.
You want to lead the first lap the first time at the Roval, man. That's historic stuff. You want to be the first guy to lead a lap here. Kyle Larson's going to put a ton of pressure on Kurt Busch.
That and the track position, just getting in that lead, because watch them as they go through this turn 11 and turn 12. They'll start to gap each other on the exit of that corner, and as they run around the oval, turn 3 and 4, you'll see that gap increase.
This is the first time these guys have been on the racetrack with this many cars. They're just learning the sight lines, what they can see.
Oh, man.
See.
Little contact.
A lot of pressure on. Kurt Busch going to lead lap 1.
Larson, man, he is on it. You know, you think this is a really slick racetrack, new asphalt, hard tire. These guys would tiptoe around here, but Larson with a lot of confidence in his car, pushing really hard early.
They started 5th, running 2nd. Listen to the tires. Talk about this racetrack being difficult. Where else do you hear the tires squealing around the infield? That's just nuts. That's how low grip these cars have.
Some battle right behind them. Allmendinger and Elliott's pretty tight. Elliott put the pressure on. That guy came to Watkins Glen and got the win. He has confidence as a road course racer now with that win. Making good gains on Allmendinger through turn 8. Here he's in position. He might be able to look for an opportunity to try to make a pass here. We haven't seen many passes made in this particular part of the track all weekend. This braking zone into the chicane on the back straightaway really isn't a braking zone. They just lift. Some guys aren't even downshifting into 3rd gear through this corner. Marty.
And Junior, watching A.J. Allmendinger in that 47 car, he was told last week from JTG's RD Racing he would not be back in this 47. That news coming out officially. So he said this week, I've got nothing to lose. I don't have a job for next year. All I care about is the win today. We're going to talk a lot about different agendas. They're all throughout the field.
Look at this. Got a pass for 3rd place here. He's in position.
So Allmendinger right now, this time in a race, he's going to let him go. As there's race winds on, he's not going to let it go that easy. But right now, they're still learning how to race with each other. They've been on the track by themselves, and it's going to be a constant learning experience all day long. Speaking of learning, check out back here, Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez, trying to go side by side in a very tight side of the racetrack. Suarez all over the curves, the turtles.
Little damage, ripped the front fender apart.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. That's going to hurt him. This is a fast racetrack on the big oval. So right here, it's just side by side. It's going to be tough, Junior. It's just almost impossible to do that without hitting each other.
So surprised by the damage there. Just a little bit of contact. Here at the lead. Kyle Larson still putting the pressure on. Kurt Busch is a really good road course racer. It's an impressive run by Kyle Larson early. He's hanging with him through that chicane. Usually in that chicane, we see the guys gap each other pretty good, getting through there. Some guys getting through there way better than others.
This is the first time we've been at this racetrack for us, for you guys watching, for the drivers. So we're going to show you a map. We got a map. We're going to show you where these drivers are. Turn 1. On the restarts, we think this is going to be a very, very tough spot. Look how narrow it is. Walls on both sides. Now they're turn 2, approaching turn 3, uphill, then downhill braking zone. That's part of the reason it's so difficult. A long sweeper into turn 4, which leads to a little bit of a straightaway on the back.
Yeah, it is. It's a good straightaway, getting up some speed here going into turn 5. Turn 5's uphill to the right. It invites you to roll up there hard, but you got to slow down. This is a tight turn 6. You want to get right against that curve there. Get over here to the right, just like Larson's doing for that turn down into turn 7.
And that leads to this long straightaway. So this turn 8 is huge. If you don't do it right, it's going to kill your straightaway speed. What is turn 9 is normally turn 1 on the Charlotte mile and a half. They approach turn 10, which would normally be turn 2 of the mile and a half. Down the long back straightaway into the chicane where so much trouble has happened all weekend.
Yeah, turn 11 and 12. 12 with the curbs and the tire wall. You got to be careful there all day long. Guys were talking about how it's like throwing darts. Just hope you get lucky every time you go through there. Look at the line. Kurt Busch is taking a little bit higher line, and it's allowing Larson to close the gap as we come down into turn 15, and then the chicane on the front straightaway, 16, and then 17 out to the start-finish line.
That's a lap. Just that easy. 17 corners, Kelly.
Well, and as much trouble we've seen this weekend, it's been incident-free for Kurt Busch in the 41. His crew chief, Billy Scott, telling me they've just been patiently aggressive, and he said 90% of this race is going to be about doing more of the same. They want to see where they are at the end. He said Kurt Busch knows exactly when he can start pushing in this race. Marty?
Kelly, we're going to hear a lot of teams and drivers talk about patience today. I'm not sure that word is in Kyle Larson's dictionary. He told me before the race the car is very good, and he wants to capitalize. You know, Jeff, we saw this yesterday in the Xfinity Series race. When you get out front, it's hard to get back by you. So Kyle Larson maybe driving with a little bit of sense of urgency right now because he senses he can get around that 41 and wants to do it now.
I think what's so difficult is that they don't know what's going to happen on lap 20 on a set of tires. It's never been there before. And so, yes, I think you want to get track position. You mentioned it, Junior. Track position's huge anywhere you go, but on a road course, I think it matters even more.
You mentioned track position. A few cars that didn't start with much. The 20 of Eric Jones. He has gained 11 spots already, to make it 12 spots with that pass over the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Brad Keselowski, a couple cars behind him, is also making a charge through the field, as well as Denny Hamlin. You know, it's been a busy week, a lot of accidents in practice, but it seems like this 20 of Eric Jones, we saw him hit that backstretch wall in that chicane, Rick, but the 20 recovering nicely, methodically working up through traffic as we see the battle for the lead continues to heat up.
Yeah, this is a great battle. Kurt Busch, man, I mean, I'm surprised this early that he doesn't look at that pressure in the mirror and go, maybe I should give this am I pushing too hard? Maybe I should give this position up. He's not giving it up, Dave.
Denny Hamlin started in the rear. This was not originally part of their plan, but he believes he has a left front coming apart. He saw the left front of the hood popping up around the track, so he's a little bit worried about that. But if this was a strategy move, two-stop race from here, guys, if you divide it out, correct?
Well, you can make it on 2 stops from here, but I don't believe you'd want to stop this early. I think you're going to see a lot of guys make the decision in the last 5 laps of this stage. It's really a question of, do you score stage points or do you work on strategy? These 2 leaders, though, guys, I think all they want to do is lead the race. I agree with you, Dale. I'm amazed the 41 hasn't given the spot up to the 42 of Larson.
Out front, it is Kurt Busch. He's led every lap here at the Charlotte Roval.
NASCAR Heat 3 is available now on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Go to NASCARHeat.com today.
NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Racing. It's the Bank of America Roval 400. NASCAR Drive, that is your live race day companion. You can watch multiple camera angles, even change your in-car video if you'd like, your favorite drivers. You never miss a lap. NASCAR Drive is NASCAR.com/drive. New race leader. It is the 42 of Kyle Larson. As we went to break, it was the 41 of Kurt Busch out front, but this is how it changed hands.
It's a really aggressive move to jump up on the outside in the banking, and then he's got the preferred spot. So Kyle Larson, we can see he had a faster car than Kurt Busch, but Kurt did not make it easy on him.
Yeah, Kurt's struggling in the banking of the racetrack. The turns 3 and 4 through here, he's really, really slow. I think he's actually getting real tight. Guys are running up on him. Chase Elliott putting the pressure on him. Look at him. He's not able to hold that low line. He's having some handling issues. And it's part of the track that we didn't think would be very challenging.
I didn't think to make him. There you go. Move into turn 1. Smartly, Kurt just saying, take the spot. You're faster than me. It's just not a good place right now to contest a pass.
I might need some Tums as they go through the heartburn turn there in turn 1. I'm sure the drivers are feeling the same way.
Well, Rick, you mentioned heartburn. This right here, Denny Hamlin, the 11. You heard Dave report that came to pit road with a potential left front tire issue. Well, I think we found where it happened. You're riding on board, and watch Denny Hamlin as he jumps to the outside, and then look at the smoke fill the cockpit. That's the left front tire locked up right there. See all that smoke in the driver's compartment? That's a flat spot on the left front tire. I'm sure that's why he had to come to pit road. Oh, yeah, you see right there just so much. And that's what everyone's saying in the garage. The tires are pretty durable until you lock them up. And you see it, the flat spot, it starts to unwind. So good decision. Mistake on the racetrack, but good decision to come to pit road.
So Kyle Larson is out front, leading this race now. His 2 finishes on the road course this year were 14 and 6. So right now, Kyle Larson outperforming what he has been able to do at the previous road courses. You see the playoff points on the left. The 8 spots, the bubble spots, 9th through 16th. Again, at the end of the day, 4 drivers will have their championship hopes dashed. They will be out as we go into round 2. And again, every point is a position on the racetrack.
You're seeing these 3 guys racing right now, Bowman, Johnson, and Boyer. And right now, as things are on the racetrack, they're in pretty good shape. Other people have had some issue not running quite as well. And I think that's what's tough for these guys today. How hard do you push? I mean, you need good finishes, but do you need a great finish? And you may not know till the race is over what you needed to do. So all 3 of these guys are in similar situations and all racing against each other right now.
I think it's going to be important for them guys to understand that they need to finish in the top 10 in these stages. Try to gain these stage points as we go throughout the day, continuing to put themselves in better positions.
Well, Dale, you mentioned those stage points, right? So that's the decision. 15 laps at the end of stage 1. Just remind everyone at home, points are just not at the end of the race. You mentioned a point per position. Well, as well, at the end of stage 1 and stage 2, if you're in the top 10, Rick, you already start filling that bucket. You already start gaining points. 10 points to win the stage, all the way down to 1 point for 10th. So with 15 to go in the stage, the way you want to run this race is to pit a couple laps before the stage. You come to pit road, you get 4 tires, everything's fine. That will give you the best track position. But Dave, if you come to pit road before the end of the stage, you're guaranteeing no points. It's going to be a coin flip. Is this a points race, or are you trying to win?
Here's a good look at the 14 of Clint Boyer right now running in the 6th position. They're really, really happy with the way he's running, exiting turn 7 and 8. Turn 8 takes you on to the traditional turn 1 of the oval. It starts the longest portion, quickest portion of the racetrack. So that's critical that he does that well. They don't want to mess up by adjusting to other parts of the track, the part that's so good, Marty.
Right in front of him, Jimmy Johnson hounding his teammate Alex Bowman. Looks like he's going to get that 4th position for that 48 car. They've been strong all weekend long. Clint Boyer's going to follow through and get around the 88 as well. And Steve, you're exactly right. Talking about all these different agendas, you have 4 people, 4 drivers now locked in. And now that Kevin Harvick has started the race, he's locked in to move to round 2. They could care less about those stage points, but teams like Jimmy Johnson, they must get all the points they can. So you'll see pit strategy all over the map, as you would say, Steve. The playbook wide open for you crew chiefs today here at the Roval.
Yeah, the decision time's coming, Jeff. About 10 more laps. These drivers are going to have to make a decision. These crew chiefs, what strategy are they going to be on?
And watch Justin Marks comes through the front chicane, loses control of his car, goes through the turf. Penalty is to stop on the front straightaway. NASCAR feels like you've made everything square if you do that.
First caution is out. Stanton Barrett in the 51 has slammed into the turn 1 wall as we see the safety crew working on getting Stanton out of that car. And you can see the brake marks, the skid marks. That car went straight into the wall, which the one thing that's good is that you saw skid marks, so the brakes were working. The thing that's bad, though, is he wasn't able to turn. He was going straight into that wall.
Jeff, you've talked to some drivers about how odd it is to get into that corner. You really can't tell where you need to brake or where you're at.
You stand there, just a little too fast, got on the brakes and locked them up and just head on in the wall. And it's a very deceiving corner. You see that wall just collapse. It's a very deceiving corner, Junior, because the track's so wide. if you're not looking 100% at the place where you got to be, you never get there because the track opens up, and it's just a really weird entry. When I drove the NBC Toyota car, I just was shocked at how focused you had to be on hitting those blue curves at the bottom of the racetrack. If you weren't focused on that, you would be looking at the wall and just completely blow the corner.
It's going to be interesting to see. I don't expect the leaders to come to pit road, but somewhere in the back half of the field, somebody may peel off, try to get on a different strategy. We see one car take a hard left, and he's going to be joined by others. We're going to have a little action towards the back half of the field. Marty mentioned that the playbook is wide open, and this is the first opportunity, Dave, for cars to really pit under caution.
And when you don't like your race car, you appreciate that first opportunity. 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for Ryan Blaney, whose car was really loose, and he said, I have no forward drive, Marty.
Kevin Harvick told me this has been a weekend of learning, mostly him learning this racetrack. Not exactly the quickest car around this weekend, but they've advanced to the next round already. 4 tires here for him, a little bit too loose, Kelly.
Joey Logano says he just doesn't have much rear grip, and turns 1 and turn 8 are especially bad. His braking, not great either. They're making an air pressure adjustment. 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for the 22.
And racing off of pit road, we'll get ready for the restart when we come back.
Fans also need refreshment, so buckle up and grab an ice-cold Coke. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Manifest is Monday's #1 drama. Discover why critics call it one of the biggest shows of the fall. And an instant hit, Manifest. That's new Monday on NBC. Let's check in with Rutledge Wood.
Rick, the fans are loving this action down here in the infield. They are packed right now on the Panic Patio, having a great time over here. Hundreds of fans. And you know what else they've been doing? Coming down to all of the merch trailers and buying as much of this Roval gear as they can. They've had to reprint shirts this weekend because the fans love them so much. Parker, I know you are having as much fun as these fans are.
I definitely am. I know how fun that Panic Patio is. But, Rutt, you know who I've had my eye on at the start of this race? Is the 20 of Eric Jones, the 2 of Brad Keselowski, and the 11 of Denny Hamlin, because they start at the backs. I wanted to see, where can you pass on this Roval? Well, Eric Jones showed us that you can pass mostly through the infield, almost anywhere. And Brad Keselowski, he was the only driver I saw pass into the backstretch chicane. And who did he pass? But Denny Hamlin. That's the only pass I saw down here at all. So we know, Junior and guys, you just cannot pass in this backstretch chicane unless you are vastly faster than the other car.
Yeah, there's no braking zone. They don't get on the brakes to slow their cars down. We hear the Hendrick guys don't even downshift into 3rd gear going through that chicane on the back straightaway. So how can you pass a guy if he's not slowing down? Well, we're getting ready to find out if you pass a guy with new tires, right? Because A.J. Allmendinger right here, he was the first car to peel off and come to pit road. He's going to restart 19th, Harvick 20th, Almirola 21st, with Jono 22nd. One more thing we don't know, how important are tires here at the Roval, right? We know at Watkins Glen, track position really matters. At Sonoma, tires have really mattered. We're getting ready to find out what new tires are worth on the Cup car. We saw in the Xfinity car, not a lot, but they're less horsepower. These Cup cars want to spin those rear tires.
And on top of all that, Steve, new tires coming from behind. Only 10 laps to go in this stage. So let's look and see who is not in position right now to earn these stage points. Austin Dillon in 13th. Eric Jones, he's been coming to the front, though. Can he get into the top 10 and get some stage points? Denny Hamlin, he got tires a little while ago. Harvick, Almirola, Logano, Blaney. They're all not in position to get playoff points, stage points right now. That's a big deal. Can they get there?
Points are so important.
This should be calm, Rick. What could go wrong?
Another start. This one's a restart this time. And again, they will bypass that kink on the front stretch. They will stay out on the oval for the restart. If Stanton Barrett, that name sounded familiar. His day job is a stuntman. So started quite a few movies as a stuntman, but today not such a good ending for him as he ended up in the turn 1 wall. 2 by 2 they go. Kyle Larson on the inside, Chase Elliott on the outside. They field approaching the Geico restart zone and back underway.
Great jump by Kyle Larson. Look down there on the inside.
Almirola making it 3 wide. Oh,
A.J. Allmendinger, and look what it does. These guys on the outside. Eric Jones and a few others had some.
All that work done by Eric Jones in one corner, gone away.
As the
leaders stretch out. I'm looking back at 2 or 3 rows at 47. He's still not giving up, guys. Still too wide through the infield.
Well, you said, what are tires going to matter? Well, an aggressive driver with new tires we're seeing right now can make a difference.
Yeah, he's also a guy without a job, trying to find a new job. This is an interview today for him.
Look at this, still making moves. That white car heading up onto the big racetrack now. Great job getting up through that pack. Now, Eric Jones doesn't think so. He got put 3 wide and moved out. But
yeah, few were disappointed in the job that A.J. Allmendinger did, but he's thinking for himself right now.
Well, let's be clear, Rick. That was plus 8 or 9 spots. 1 trip through the infield. 1 trip on new tires, and he's passed 8 or 9 cars, and I don't think the 47's done with 9 to go in this stage.
And keep in mind, everybody's watching that. And crew chiefs are watching, and spotters are watching, and now they're telling their drivers on the next restart, hey man, he did that, you can go do it. So the intensity level is going to get picked up because of the success that he was having with it.
8 laps to go in stage 1. And Steve, a lot of people are going to ask, why are guys coming to pit road now or in the next 3 or 4 laps when they just had an opportunity under a caution to come? But that's the strategy at this place.
Yeah, so basically the question is now, there's 3 different thoughts. Some guys have pitted like A.J. Allmendinger. I would imagine he's going to run to the end of the stage. But up in front of him, a bunch of playoff cars. Really, 1st through 8th are all playoff cars. They can stay on the racetrack, finish in the top 10, get those stage points we discussed. But to have a better chance at the race end, you would pit with 2 to go before they close pit road. You know a yellow's coming. That would instantly kind of bundle them all up. Look at the 20 right here. You mentioned they got stacked up. Dale Jr., well, the upper nose of that 20 car definitely smashed in.
Let's take a look at it. We got the replay right here of that restart. Jones way over there on the outside. Allmendinger makes 3 wide. That forces Jones to have to make a decision on, and here's the roof camera. Just running the back of Byron.
Making it 3 wide right there.
I'm not sure he wasn't wheel hop, but you hear that, that banging noise? I'm not sure that wasn't wheel hop. We can see right here.
3, 1 inside, just 1.
Oh, that wheel hop was the 11 car on the rear bumper. That's what that noise was.
Yeah, and it's called Tubbs heartburn turn for a reason, because a lot of heartburn right here for these drivers.
Bottom 3. Bottom 3. Bottom 3.
Well, you have to be aggressive. Like I mentioned, A.J. Allmendinger got 8 or 9 spots on the first lap, and he's yet to get another spot, right? As the field now stretches out, he's closing in on Alex Bowman for 8, but it's much slower going once the field gets strung out.
Marty.
After all those moves, now Eric Jones 44 points below the cut line, clearly staring at a win here today at the Roval if they want to advance to round 2. Eric didn't say anything, but the team did say to him, listen, we came through the field once, we can do it again. So for that team, they're going to have to get some progress here. His crew chief, Chris Gale, told me, this is a backup car, but our backup cars for the playoffs show up ready like they're going to be the primary car. So the backup car, pretty good for Eric Jones so far, but he's got to come through the field again. Right now in 25th, guys.
Yeah, and a little bit of damage on the nose of that car, especially important when they come onto the oval here. Speeds get upwards of 170 miles an hour, so aerodynamics definitely will help. NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series racing, it's the Bank of America Roval 400.
The demands are greater. The expectations higher. The jobs tougher. The world moves faster. So we made your truck even more capable with legendary Hemi power. No wonder more people are switching to Ram than ever before.
During Ram Power Days, get an average $10,433 in total values on select all-new 2019 Ram 1500 models in dealer stock.
Golden Corral's Beef Lovers Banquet with our all-new bacon-wrapped sirloin filet, smoked beef brisket, portobello top sirloin, and golden delicious shrimp. The Beef Lovers Banquet. Golden Corral, your choice. Rules.
I can't believe it.
That everything sticks to Stefan Diggs' hands?
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on the car insurance with Geico. Cool, huh?
Yeah.
He plays football, huh?
Yeah.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
When it's too cold for camping, we go camping. When it's too hot to work, we work. Too wet to keep going? Nah, This is the Gator XUV 835 with game-changing heat and air and 3 wide seating. It's never too anything for anything. Nothing runs like a deer. Get $400 off the Gator XUV 835M at any participating John Deere dealer.
We're more than just $7.99 large 2-topping pizza delivered.
Hey, B, is this it?
We're an end zone dance at your doorstep. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
I'm just fulfilling my destiny.
I think crowd reaction, whether it's good, whether it's bad,
I sure as heck don't need no introduction.
I think it's a positive thing. They either like me or they don't.
Kyle Busch, he'll win a ticket to the second round.
Or they do and they don't, both in the same breath.
I'm just fulfilling my destiny. 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 I'm just fulfilling my destiny.
The Gander Outdoors 400 from Dover on NBCSN.
They've reported from around the world, challenged the powerful, and they bring all of this to every story that touches your heart.
Don't you get tired sometimes of always being strong? You have to forgive others for you to be forgiven.
It's Monster Energy Cup Series racing from the Charlotte Roval. And fans, don't miss your chance to win a custom truck built by NASCAR fans. Enter your chance to win. And today only use promo code ELIMINATION, because this is an elimination race, to unlock 10 bonus entries. Just go to NASCAR.com/playoffs promo now to enter. And remember, use that promo code ELIMINATION. When we mention elimination, 4 drivers will come away from this race without a chance for the championship. And right now it's the 12 of Ryan Blaney, the 3 of Austin Dillon, the 20 of Eric Jones, and the 11 of Denny Hamlin. They are below the cut line.
All right, Rick, you mentioned it earlier in this stage. What's coming to decision time in the next 1 or 2 laps, because pit road will close with 2 laps to go. So there's only about 2 more options for these drivers to hit pit road before the end of the stage. So someone like Alex Bowman in the 88, currently running 9th. That will gain him 2 points if he can finish 9th in the stage. But he knows if he chooses not to pit, he will lose track position, because the way the pit cycles work, after the yellow, he'll fall back in the field. So big choice for Greg Ives as well as all the other crew chiefs in the playoffs.
And now with 3 to go, Kyle Larson still out front, has Kurt Busch about 2 seconds behind him. Then it's Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott. They're the top 5. A few drivers have made their way onto pit road, Daniel Hemrick being one of them in the 8. Eric Almirola, Austin Dillon, and we go to Marty.
And here come the guys for the playoffs. Eric Almirola coming a little bit earlier, and it's interesting to see them on pit road. They're in a spot where they're kind of comfortable coming into this cut race for the playoffs. They have 23 points above the cut line, but they decide to pit early here, short pitting this stage, Kelly.
Austin Dillon in that 3 car also had nothing to lose by coming to pit road earlier. They were not going to gain any stage points, so they're looking at the bigger picture with strategy here as 4 Goodyear tires for the 3 of Austin Dillon.
And the decision to pit was easier for these 2 playoff drivers because they were both outside the top 10. They weren't going to receive points at the end of the stage. So now the big question is, those drivers inside the top 10, can they afford to pit?
The problem is, if the 42 gets to the start-finish line, that will close pit road, because that'll be 2 laps to go. So the second he gets to the start-finish line, pit road will be closed. So if anybody tries to come after about right now, pit road is closed.
Yep, you're right, Rick. So he shut it down for all these other drivers. So that answer has now been set. Larson, Kurt Busch, Boyer, Truex, Elliott Johnson, and Kyle Busch, and Alex Bowman in 9th. All of those playoff drivers are going to try to finish somewhere in the top 10 and get those valuable stage points.
And again, at the end of stage 1, the top 10 will all receive points. These are stage points. And those in the playoffs that are right there on the bubble, they're fighting for every position and every point they could possibly get, so they're not eliminated today.
Right now, Ryan Blaney's in 11th place, right behind Chris Buescher. If he can pass Chris Buescher, that's a point for Ryan Blaney. Right ahead of Chris Buescher is Alex Bowman, who's holding both those drivers off on this final lap to get these very important stage points.
This battle for second, it's all points as well. You know, I mean, if Boyer could get in front of Busch, that's like taking a point from him and you add 1 to yours. So this battle's tight right here. See if one of these guys can get that spot.
Blaney into 10th. That's a point for Blaney. if he can get to the finish line in that position.
How aggressive will they get through the final turns? Again, they'll have one more lap to go. Kyle Larson comfortably out front, has a 2.5-second lead. You see the big gap between the 42 and the 41. Larson running a flawless first stage. And Clint Boyer has closed the gap on the 41 of Kurt Busch. They go through Tums Heartburn turn 1.
We now know why they call it that, Rick.
Yes. Stanton Barrett knows it all too well.
They could have got all 17 corners, I think.
Blaney putting some pressure on Bowman right here.
Can Blaney take that spot away and grab another point?
You see the back of the cars moving around, trying to get the rear grip. These tires are worn out. This track is really abusive on the tires, and right now you just can't lay. It's like being on ice, you know, trying to accelerate on ice. You want to put, the more throttle you get it, the less you accelerate.
Oh, that's an aggressive move, but that's how important these points are. Blaney almost willing to make it. He knows he's faster. He's trying to put himself in position. If he can't make a pass in the turn 11 and 12, chicane on the back straightaway, maybe he can be in position on this front stretch.
The biggest challenge for Blaney right now is find your sight lines, because with Bowman in front of you, you can't see where you want to go. So how do you line everything up to get where you want to be through the chicane? Good job, really good job by Blaney.
Wedding present for Kyle Larson and Caitlin. Stage 1 win. Kyle Larson got married on Wednesday and now has won stage 1 at the Charlotte Roval. Here's the battle for one more point. Ryan Blaney, how aggressive does he get? Bowman gets him by a car length. Those were the top 10. And now the caution has come out. Stage 1 complete. Kyle Larson wins stage 1. But what a fight for Blaney. Blaney in the 12, able to get by that 37 of Chris Buescher. Every point matters, and Blaney's fighting for the ball. Let's check back in with Rutledge Wood.
Hey, Rick, we want to do an update on one of the Toyota drivers. Haley Deegan last night became the first female ever to win a K&N Pro Series race up at Meridian Speedway in Idaho. A huge night for her. You know, she got the pole last week in Vegas, finished second out there. Is no stranger to the dirt. That's really where she grew up. But to get that win on the asphalt last night, a huge message that sends. Her dad, Brian Deegan, action sports star, was there in attendance. A huge night for Haley Deegan and a really cool thing for females into racing everywhere. Rick?
Yeah, that was interesting. You said she grew up on dirt. She literally grew up on dirt, following her dad around, who was a motocross superstar. Most decorated freestyle motocross rider in X Game history, Brian Deegan. And so congratulations to Haley Deegan. A very historic first win for her. Marty.
Hey, Rick, the playbook is open, as we talked about with Steve, right? Steve, I think among the leaders, there's a real thought here, especially with the 42, of not pitting here at the end of the stage because of all those cars who pitted earlier. If you pit here, you'll restart about 15th. So there's a debate right now here on the 42.
Yeah, Marty. If I'm in the top 5, I stay out. So when this race started, every car in the field could pit only twice if it was purely on fuel. It only requires 2 stops for Sunoco fuel to break the race up. The question was always, how would the Goodyear tires last? We saw A.J. Allmendinger use those tires masterfully on that restart, and he got a bunch of cars, but guys, he didn't get a bunch after they stretched out, right, Jeff? I mean, he passed 8 in one lap, and only one more car over the next 8 or 9 laps. So you see Kurt Busch's team right here. He's running second. I'm leaving Kurt Busch on the racetrack. Kyle Larson, Clint Boyer. I agree with what Marty said. That caution really kind of messed us up. Right now, a lot of cars have come to pit road. If you pit now, it is going to be way back in the pack on the next restart.
All right, who makes that decision? Kyle Larson stays out. Right behind him, though, Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer, they all decide to come to pit road. Dave.
Clint Boyer's crew shuffled their feet 6 inches to the right after they were told he will stop short of the regular mark. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for Clint, running third. He'll try to keep his position coming off pit road, Marty.
Oh, Dave, Kyle Larson staying out. Jimmy Johnson pits from the top 5. He said the track bar up just a little bit. Car was just a little bit tight for Johnson, but very happy with a very small air pressure adjustment in one of those Goodyear tires, Kelly.
9 stage points there for Kurt Busch. He says he has has good lateral grip, needs a little more forward drive, so they're going to make an air pressure adjustment in those 4 Goodyear tires and give him some Sunoco fuel.
And the race off pit road brought to you by Kroger Click List. You see Kurt Busch and Boyer holding on to their positions. Jimmy Johnson in that 48 crew gained a spot. Next round of Monster Energy Cup Series playoffs. That begins next weekend at Dover, Delaware. The action obviously going to be cranked up on the high-banked Monster Mile. Pressure continues to build. You're not going to want to miss a lap. So go to NASCAR.com/tickets to purchase your tickets today. We've already talked about the very first turn, which is Tom's heartburn turn, and how it has become a story of this race already.
See A.J. Allmendinger on the very bottom of the racetrack, making it 3 wide. That just slows everything down in that outside lane. Cars running into each other. Here's Allmendinger, just nothing to lose. Looking for a job, doing whatever he needs to do.
Yeah, we learned yesterday that outside lane is no good. If you're in, the 5th row or on back on the outside, you're going to have trouble like this all day long, losing positions to everybody on the inside line.
So we talked about it was going to be decision time. Well, let's see. Stage 1 results. Kyle Larson got those 10 points plus a playoff point. Kurt Busch, Clint Boyer, 8 points. Major success for the driver of the 14. Chase Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, all those guys. Remember, they were fighting around the bubble. Those points are so important. And now, no matter how the race finishes, they've gained at least that many points. So as they currently run, you see Kurt Busch, 23 above. Clint Boyer 6 above, Jimmy Johnson 6 below. And let me tell you, Rick, you and I were just looking at the rundown. It is chaos. Kyle Larson hasn't pitted yet. He's leading you. They have a whole group of cars that have pitted at lap 14. Behind them, you have another group of cars that pitted at lap 22. And the most recent cars off pit road pitted at lap 27.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, Boyer, Johnson, Elliott, the reason a lot of those guys are showing below the cut line is because they just pitted. So they are way in the back of the race in the lineup, Kurt Busch being 23rd. Riding along with Kevin Harvick when we were talking a little while ago, and I saw him with his glove out of the window, and I'm like, what is he doing? And I think it's so hot inside these race cars, he just got his glove off and trying to dry it off from his sweat. And you saw him moving his hand on the seat and on his leg, just trying to get his hand dry.
So wait a minute, you guys sweat?
It's work, man. It's work. Almost as hard as this.
Don't make it too hard. Field approaching the Geico restart zone once again. Now Martin Truex Jr. is on the outside of Kyle Larson. Again, Larson stayed out. Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, those 3 did not come to pit road under this most recent caution.
And Denny Hamlin on that outside line, backing everybody up. It's tough on that outside line because there's no rubber. Nobody's ran there all weekend. There's no rubber there, no grip for this tire.
3 wide into 3, guys. Can you do it?
Ryan Newman thinks you can. Clint Boyer's hoping he can. Clint's right behind Ryan, shoves Jimmy Johnson out into the grass. Jimmy giving up spots.
He's on the outside of turn 5 uphill. Turn 6 on the outside again. But then in turn 7, he'll be on the inside, turning to the left here.
Now Clint Boyer, I think if he can just get in behind Jimmy Johnson, that would be what he want to do, but he's going to stay on the outside of him. That's going to have him 2 wide down this long straightaway. Who can beat whom to the chicane?
They're going to have to get it sorted out.
Yeah.
You have to see cars go 2 by 2 into the chicane. Who's got it left? The 13 to the 31.
And Jimmy Johnson's taking advantage of that. Driving in deep.
Jimmy Johnson in the 48 was able to take advantage of Ryan Newman in that 31 checking up.
It's so difficult for those guys. They can't afford to be in a wreck, but they can't afford to ride around in the back either.
Here they come into the Tums heartburn turn again, and they're bottling up once again.
Stacked up behind David Reagan on the inside. These guys making a lot of passes on the outside of David over the last couple of corners and holding up Eric Jones, who needs to get by.
Eric Jones, just these restarts have not worked out well for Eric Jones at all. Keeps losing spots on him.
Look at him get aggressive, trying to shove the 6 car to the inside. Parker.
And guys, I'm over here in turn 8 where the field's about to approach. Behind me, you see Kyle Larson, Martin Truex go through there, Kyle Busch. And this is the place where those old tires are going to suffer to
like the strategy and the car of Ryan Blaney. He pitted at lap 14 under yellow, guys. Why is that important? Well, he just passed Kyle Busch for the 3rd position, but Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. running 1st and 2nd, they must come to pit road before the end of stage 2. Ryan Blaney is in great position to win this 2nd stage if he can just keep the car on the racetrack. You see the variety of pit stops on the left-hand side of your screen. You got a headache yet, Rick? There's a lot of pit strategies going on down there, Marty.
It's all over the place, Steve. And so when will these leaders who have not pitted come to pit road? Here's a conversation between Kyle Larson and Chad Johnston a moment ago.
How long into this run will we pit, probably? About 10 laps. We'll run it to the switch, so get a look at your switch. I'll let you know when to flip it. We'll run it to the switch and then come. Be sure you're saving as much fuel under caution as you can.
The switch is an extra pickup inside the fuel cell for the 42, so he will hit that as soon as he sees a light come on the dash. That should get him all the way back around to pit road. So that should be, Steve, about 6 more laps. And Chad also made the point. The car that pitted and came out first off pit road last time, as Jeff said, restarted 23rd, so they still have the lead.
A genius little system, right? You have your main pickup, pick up 90% of the fuel, gives you a little warning, 1 more lap. Last thing you want to do is run out of gas in the middle of the road course.
And let's take a look at the laps from above, brought to you by Bank of America.
I love this shot. This helicopter shot just gives you such great perspective of how well they use this entire facility. This was a 1.5-mile tri-oval that we've seen races on for years, but Marcus Smith, SMI, the company that owns this racetrack, guys, they redesigned a road course to use the infield chicanes on the 2 straightaways. It's really a great layout.
Sure is. There you see Ryan Blaney trying to hold off Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Brad Keselowski, who's came from the back of the field in a backup car. These 3 guys are advanced into the next round, so they get to drive, you know, a lot more carefree. No pressure like Ryan Blaney has. Blaney's sitting right now only 27 points to the good, but he's been near the cutoff line at some points in this race.
And I think that'll pose a problem for Ryan Blaney if Busch can catch him. Busch has nothing to lose, and put a lot of pressure on him, put a lot of pressure on the guy in front of you that can't afford to make a mistake. Blaney might have to give up that spot.
Blaney doesn't want to give up any track position. You're watching the Monster Energy Cup Series Bank of America Roval 400 on Charlotte Motor Speedway. Wednesday night's hockey doubleheader is going to kick off the NHL season. 7:30 Eastern. Bruins are in D.C. to face Alex Ovechkin and the defending Stanley Cup champion Capitals. Then the California Clash, Anaheim Ducks and San Jose Sharks. That's NHL opening night Wednesday on NBC SN. Want to take a quick look back at problem that Justin Marks had. 15 spins coming out of turn 8, bumps the wall. He was out of the line, so no caution ever came out. He was able to correct the situation and get going again. Kevin Harvick, I know that when Larson, Truex, Kyle Busch, and McMurray all decide to pit, it will be a good battle between Ryan Blaney and Kevin Harvick. Those two up there fighting for the spots, as well as Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski has drove by Kevin Harvick, and he started to put the pressure on Kyle Busch. And I talked to you, Tart. You say Brad Keselowski's being aggressive. You can see it. He's really running wide on these corners in turn 3 and 4, getting out there in the paint on the outside of that 3 and 4. But he's got great speed, which is so surprising because this is a backup car. Crashed a car yesterday in practice.
And Junior, they knew this car would be good after they crashed the backup car. One of the reasons why he did crash, by the way, avoiding the curbs. He avoided them so hard that he crashed his car instead of jumping over the final ones in turn 17. Here's a replay of that accident. He'll get into 16. He gets a little bit squirrely. Here's through 15 to the left, 16 to the right. Then he knows he's in trouble. Instead of going through the turf or the curbs, he goes this way and noses the car into the wall. So that went to the backup car. Paul Wolf told me this morning, we build them to be identical. We know we have speed at this track, and that will help us set up our strategies to try to win this race. Kyle Busch is on pit road.
And Dave, here come those leaders. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. coming down pit road right now. Kyle saying he's tight in 1, 2, 8, and 14. So an air pressure adjustment to free up the 18 car, Kelly.
Martin Truex Jr. in that 78 car. They've been really happy with this race car all weekend long. Remember, they are through to the next round on points, so the only thing that matters to them is that race win, Marty.
Eric Jones on pit road. Kelly, they had made all that ground up early in the race and did not make the progress they wanted to on this run. He said the car just way too tight for him, but then it loses rear grip. The longer they run, he's on pit road. They made a wedge adjustment. Kyle Larson, the leader, is going to pit this time.
Eric Jones making his way off of pit road, that hard left-hand turn, then he'll blend back out onto the racetrack when everyone's coming through turn 2 right there and up through that little short chute into turn 3.
No issue for Eric Jones because it's clear track, but that can get bottled up. We saw it yesterday in the Xfinity race. Some tough real estate, as Marty mentioned. The leader, 42 of Kyle Larson, is going to come on pit road, make his first pit stop of the day. I would imagine with this strategy, it's going to be a 2-stop strategy. Now it's just avoid any penalty or pit mistakes.
And Steve, I think they sort of painted themselves into that situation where they're going to have to make it a 2-stop day. They were able to get to lap 37 on this first stop for Kyle Larson. They asked him in the middle of the very first part of the run, how's the car? He said it's losing rear grip. But a moment ago, he said still excellent. So Kyle Larson with some speed on older tires might be the car to beat here this afternoon at the Roval.
And as Kyle Larson works his way off of pit road, now Ryan Blaney is out front. We'll see Kyle Larson blending back out onto the racetrack right there.
Ryan Blaney's out front, but his teammate Brad Keselowski's running him down. Brad Keselowski could put himself in a position to win this stage and get another playoff point. He's got 25 playoff points. He's been getting these things, gobbling them up over the last several weeks. Dave.
Junior, think of what it's been like for Ryan Blaney this weekend. This car has been damaged. It was one of the cars whose team needed an extra 30 minutes at the end of yesterday, an extra 90 minutes this morning to work on the car per NASCAR's allowance. He hit the right side of the car on Friday in turn 2, left front fender. He grazed that tire barrier in the chicane on the backstretch. So they've worked hard to fix the 12, get it back on track, and keep it fast.
He's got to try to keep that 2 behind him with Brad Keselowski. But Ryan Blaney, a family of racers. His grandfather, Lou Blaney, was a dirt modified legend. His father, Dave, also racing. Uncle Dale, now on the other hand, when you talk about athletes in the family, Uncle Dale Blaney was actually drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers back in 1986. But the whole family has been involved in racing pretty much their entire lives. Dave.
Denny Hamlin restarted this segment of the race in 11th position. Kind of hung on to that position. He'll take 4 tires and fuel here.
Talk about moments. Remember, Denny Hamlin had to pit at lap 5 because he flat spotted that left front tire. He's kind of just been racing from behind ever since, Rick. And, you know, this was a nice clean pit stop. But once again, look at all the cars going by. Gave up a lot of track position here.
Came into this race. He had the fewest points of all of the other playoff contenders. He continues to try to dig out of that hole as we go NASCAR nonstop.
Together is about a little kitchen table and a little elbow grease. Together is about a shelf in the back of Dad's shop. Together is about family. And it's about all the memories that lie ahead. Start your adventure with the experience, selection, and wonder you can only find at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here.
Your microwave doesn't need another frozen meal, and neither do you. Only Carl's Jr. and Hardee's bring the heat with a variety of full-flavored all-star meals starting at $5. Get a real meal, paid for by Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Get 4 lines of unlimited data for $100 a month. Plus 4 free smartphones when you switch. Whoops. Unlimited. Yeah. Smile, you're on Cricket.
that serious in the all-new Toyota Avalon. Toyota, let's go places.
Racing changes from the regular season to the NASCAR playoffs.
Huge wreck. Look at the damage.
Higher risks yield even higher rewards.
And all you haters, I see you.
The unbelievable
He's not even worth my time.
turns into unforgettable. Because the difference between driver and champion,
I'm just going to drive through you and wreck you, so look out.
is the one who's willing to lay it all on the line.
What a burnout.
A look inside the secretive world of North Korea.
This storm has touched virtually every corner of the state.
No signs of backing down. 911 received about 1,100.
Incredible fighting for position here at the Roval. Let's take a look at the Toyota Camry on-track car. Rutledge Wood.
Rick, you know, we see a lot of these drivers getting closer and closer to those big blue curbs. So what I want to know, Steve, is it the splitter that's more important, or is it everything that's hiding behind there that from a crew chief, you worry about how close your driver gets to those big curves?
Well, right, you mentioned the splitter, and it definitely drives most of the aerodynamics, but it's not the most vital part. Whether you like it or not, you can run with a damaged splitter, damaged fender. We see Daniel Suarez running with the whole left front fender taped up. But if you start damaging suspension, perhaps some engine components that are near that left front corner, it's going to end your day, Rick. So, not that you want any damage, but go ahead and tear the splitter off, but save the rest of that stuff.
And what did Clint Boyer call them again? Snapping turtles? Those the blue curbs?
I committed a long time ago in my career to never repeat Clint Boyer.
Well, it has been tough on a few cars already. And right now, we saw an incredible battle. Austin Dillon, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, as well as Clint Boyer, all fighting for those spots.
Well, it's a great battle on the racetrack, and Jeff, you and I had a heated discussion during break on what the 48 should do, because the Jimmy Johnson currently in the 8th position. He's going to get 3 points at the end of the stage if he can remain here. There's a couple cars in front of him, Menard, Suarez, Byron, that may pit. That will move him up, and look at the ghost points on the left side of your screen. He's 1 point out. Points are valuable. I think he should stay on the racetrack. Jeff, you disagree?
Well, he could stay on the racetrack and get these playoff points, Marty. Just going to have to see what he does.
He's going to stay on the racetrack, Jeff. I can tell you that. Chad Canales has already told him probably 3 cars in front of us are going to pit. He also knows right behind him, Clint Boyer. Jimmy Johnson right now in 8th, Boyer in 10th. And you saw those points a moment ago as Jimmy Johnson's going to try and get another point here, another position, get around Austin Dillon. 1 point right now separate Clint Boyer and Jimmy Johnson. He's aware that right now that 14's behind him. Make that 2 points now that he's gotten around the 3.
And it's not over yet. There, Jimmy Johnson's able to clear the 3. The 41 of Kurt Busch saw an opening, now tries to take advantage of that. They dive through 3.
Clint Boyer trying to make that same move. Austin's going to make it harder on him. Just the way all that worked out. Clint was not able to clear Austin.
Austin, if he's going to stay out here for stage points, he needs to fight for these positions. He's only 4 points into the next round. Doesn't want to give up these positions.
They just told Chase Elliott that last car in the shot just to the right, just out of the picture, go get the 14, so keep an eye on that.
He might get that 14, might get that 3 if he keeps going. He's got good speed in his car.
Let's listen in to Clint Boyer's radio.
Pops, you got to really be paying attention to the 10, the 41, and some of these guys with 3 and 4 to go on pit, because they're probably going to invert this if they're not going to get stage points.
Yeah, we're going to get the points here if we can. We just got to stay on top of it.
There you go. That's clear what they're looking to do. They want to get these stage points. They're willing to stay out. And they're thinking that some of the people in front of them that really don't have anything to lose, Menard, Byron, those guys, they're not in the playoffs. They could pit, and it's not really going to hurt them, and that's what they're expecting, as well as Kevin Harvick.
Inside the top 12, there's only 2 cars that aren't playoff cars. Menard in 4th, William Byron in 5th. All these guys trying to get stage points. That's how important they are.
Steve, the thing you and I were disagreeing about is if they go to this end without pitting, go to this stage in without pitting, they're going to restart so far in the back, and they're going to potentially give up points for the way they're going to finish the race. And that's just a gamble these guys are going to have to take. They want to get the points when they can get them. They want to get them. They're in the bank. They got them. You don't know what you're going to get later in the races.
I know. We keep seeing these races that stage 3 is always so chaotic. And you're gambling on stage 3 being a completely chaotic stage where you can grab a bunch of positions in bunches on restarts with crashing, cars getting knocked out of the race. So get these stage points now. Put me in position to try to take advantage of guys having trouble in stage 3.
And I think Boyer right now is a little bit frustrated. Not that Austin Dillon's doing anything wrong. Austin's doing a really good job, but Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson, who Boyer was running with, they've driven away. See how far ahead they are? They were able to clear Austin in the slow part of the racetrack, and Clint just didn't get it done. And Clint, seeing those guys he feels like he should be running with, driving away from him.
So you mentioned they're going to have to start behind other guys. What we're going to find out is who those other guys are. Currently, we've seen Martin Truex pit, Brad Keselowski pit, Kyle Busch pit, Denny Hamlin pit. They're done for the day. But here in about 3 more laps, just like we saw at the end of stage 1, Rick, pit road will still be open before the leaders come and close it with 2 to go. And I expect to see a wave of cars hit pit road. And that is when anxiety is going to go up. This battle between these playoff guys is unreal, though. You mentioned every position's a point.
Jimmy Johnson just got another one as he passed Menard for 5th place. Kurt Busch now zeroes in on Menard, trying to take that position as well to get another point. And Jimmy out in front of him, he sees William Byron. Another position.
And I misspoke. When I said done for the day, everybody's working in a one-stop strategy, right? The guys that have already pitted, they only have to pit one more time. Guys like Jimmy Johnson.
What's wrong with William Byron here?
Slow on the track.
Out of fuel?
Potentially out of fuel. Where did he pit last? Byron pitted on lap 22. He should have plenty of fuel right now.
You have to wonder if he was just helping his teammate, the 48, trying to let him go.
He's got something going on.
They have a tire coming apart or something. It looks like the right front's a little bit low, Steve.
See it bouncing the car?
Tire issue.
And he's right down the wall.
Almirola, that's Almirola.
Almirola avoiding it, gets into the wall hard.
And now if I'm any other car with the 24 and a flat tire, I'm going to come to pit road if I think I can make it. Heavy damage on Eric Almirola. This is a car that we thought just had to gain a few points.
He was doing just enough to get done what he needed to get done today. Right now, he's showing that he would be 11 points to the good, but you can see the 24 going up the racetrack on the flat right front. Eric catches him and just hits the wall hard.
24 has made it to pit road. If you're wondering if that car might bring out a yellow, he actually cut through the Legends car track portion of the front straightaway to get to his pit box. Marty.
And guys, Eric Almirola, they've asked him how the car is driving. He said it doesn't feel like there's a rub. You see William Byron on pit road, but championship implications for Eric Almirola. Looks like they are going to come down pit road here for the 10 car. But now they're debating. Now they're saying there's no smoke on the car. So now he said, there you hear it, smoking on the banking. Now they're going to come down pit road. They came in with a 23-point cushion. They've done an excellent job here in round 1, being so consistent. But Eric Almirola, with damage, going to come here early before the end of stage 2.
As Junior mentioned, the 24 didn't come onto pit road the way he was supposed to, so he has a commitment line violation. He'll have to come back onto pit road.
Dale, you called it. That 24 car had a flat right front. These cars are so low, I couldn't tell it was flat. Perhaps neither could the 10, right? He had no idea the 24 was slowing up. Now we see on the bottom right of your screen the 10 of Eric Almirola come to the service of the pit crew, Marty.
And see, they're going to do their best to kind of clear the fenders here, both right front and right rear for Eric Almirola, and lose as little time as they can. For what it's worth, they were planning on coming to pit road and short pitting this stage anyway. They were outside the top 10, but this is going to hurt, taking a little extra time to pull those fenders out for the 10 car. If they can survive the rest of this race, Steve, they may be okay to advance to round 2.
Survive will be the key word. And now, Rick, with 4 to go, I expect to see another wave of cars coming to pit road. Marty continues to say there are just so many options on how to run this race. 10 of Eric Almirola was hoping for a simple race. That turned very quickly. Excitement.
Only 2 more options as far as people coming to pit road. Again, pit road will be closed with 2 laps to go. As soon as race leader, which right now is Ryan Blaney, gets to the start-finish line to make it 2 laps to go, they will close pit road. So there's only a few options left for these drivers to get to pit road if they're going to come before the end of stage 2.
We talked at the top of the show about guys that have to do something to move through. Ryan Blaney currently leading the race. That'll be 10 points. 10 points. Oh, now we're hearing the 10 of Eric Almirola has a tire violation as well. He's going to have another penalty. That's going to be even more costly when it comes to points. But as I was saying, the top 8 are all playoff guys. They are battling for those stage points.
Stage points, 10 through 1 as far as points distributed at the end of the stage.
The problem for Byron and the 10 car has been a blessing for guys like Chase Elliott and Bowman, who are now inside the top 10 to be able to get these stage points. But the problem with that is that Johnson, Kurt Busch, Boyer, all these guys are in front of them getting more stage points.
And Jimmy Johnson getting by Joey Logano and bringing Kurt Busch with him.
If I'm Joey Logano, I like that move. Listen, you're not in his race. You want to have a smooth day. You just need a handful of points. Jimmy Johnson, you're in a little bit more of a desperate situation. I'm going to let you go.
A different battle out there on the track, Parker.
And guys, I've been watching this battle between Austin Dillon and Chase Elliott as they come down the final chicane. I've been over here the last couple laps. I saw Jimmy Johnson make that pass on Austin Dillon. It was almost a three-part pass. He got to the inside there in 15, then got to the inside in 16 and passed him in through 17. And Chase Elliott has been hounding, as you see there, the back of the three car trying to make up points here. And if he's going to get it done this final lap, you see how close he is. If he gets into him, maybe he'll make a move here down to 1.
And we have the 2 cars spinning in the 78
as well. Keselowski and the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. are around.
Now the 78's going to stop just in front of the 2 because he missed the chicane. I think Brad will do the same. You're better off to stop. You can't have another penalty. You just have to be conservative. You hear the spotter opening behind the 4, trying to get cars back on the racetrack.
You know, I don't know if they really had to stop there, but let's see what happened. Keselowski in. Oh, both guys just in way too deep. Like the 78 was in too deep, and Brad
was judging off of him.
Yeah, using him, and he just both ended up driving in too deep.
Those 2 guys are in position. They are positioning themselves to win this race.
But when you wreck through the chicane, you know, you didn't gain anything by that. I don't think they had to stop. They didn't cut the corner. They actually wrecked through there. I don't think NASCAR would have called them if they had to stop.
No, but I like the idea of stopping.
Yes,
because if you roll off, man, that's too big of a penalty to do drive-through. All that
changes their strategy, though, Steve, for the entire race now with that spin. They're going to have to come down pit road, put tires on. When will they do that?
Well, I think the pit road's closed, so their only option, as Ryan Blaney takes 1 to go in the stage, is going to be the end of this stage. I think the most important thing is for both drivers here in these last 2 laps. Well, I don't have to ask. If the 2 has an issue, we can see it.
Wow. Smoke rolling out from behind the 2 of Brad Keselowski. The win for him in this first round ensures that he will be in round 2. So if this ends up being terminal.
Penalty. I need you to make 1 more lap if you can. Your call.
He spun into the 78. So that's a tire rub as you see the damage.
He made the decision to stay on the racetrack rather than pitting because it's the final lap. Didn't want to serve that penalty of pitting too soon, but will that left rear tire make it all the way around for this last lap?
And we're hearing from NASCAR. They let us know that both those cars would have been considered missing the chicane.
There you go.
Great decision. They stopped on the racetrack.
The rest of the field looks at that and says, all right, if I spin out through there, I got to come to a stop.
And a big point stage for Jimmy Johnson, who was in a position to get as many points as he possibly could. He needed as many points, and right now running second to Ryan Blaney.
Fast. I mean, he is running lap times as fast as anyone on the racetrack, if not faster.
Ryan Blaney for the final time through turns 16 and 17. Jimmy Johnson just behind him. Ryan Blaney is going to win stage 2. 6-stage win for Ryan Blaney, and also important, not only the 10 points for the stage, but a playoff point. Every playoff point advances into the next round as long as they advance into the next round. Those are the top 10. And a big stage win for fan favorite Ryan Blaney, who gets stage 2 win. A little later tonight, Sunday Night Football. AFC North rivals clash as Joe Flacco and the Ravens face Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. Football night in America, that begins at 7 Eastern with kickoff at 8:20 tonight, only on NBC. Right.
Rick, Sunday Night Football is in Pittsburgh, and we are thrilled to have Pizza Hut along for the ride. Fans can get a large 2-topping pizza for just $7.99 when you order online. The official pizza sponsor of the NFL. No one out-pizzas the Hut, Rick. No one.
You are right, Rut. No one out-pizzas the Hut. All right, so the stages are done. Junior, stage points, very important. How did everybody do?
Yeah, this is something that's, the guys been working on all day long going through stage 1 and stage 2. And there you see it, Kurt Busch, 17 points at this point today. Clint Boyer as well, another guy who was outside the cutoff line at the start of this race, 14 points at this point. Jimmy Johnson having an awesome day with also 14 points. These guys are doing amazing work. Look down here at the bottom, Alex Bowman, he only had 5 points. You would think that'd be pretty good, but all these guys ahead of him are gaining so many points. Now he's gonna have to actually just beat them on the racetrack. I don't know if he has enough speed to do that. So points earned, very important so far after stage 1 and stage 2.
And as you say that, the point's so important. Now officially, the 20 and the 11, they pretty much have to win this race. So Eric Jones, Denny Hamlin, they're over 40 points below that cut line. A win is a must.
Yeah, and it just hasn't been good. Jeff, you said it the best. Every time we looked up on a restart, the 20 was either getting pushed around or in the wrong lane, or I don't think he's run a bad race. He's just has never been in the right spot on the restarts. And now that we're finally into this final stage, currently with 58 to go, the first thing we need to do is we're going to open pit road. We're going to get everybody on pit road that needs fuel. Guys that don't need fuel will stay out. There's going to be a few little split options. It's going to reset the whole field.
And as you mentioned, here they come onto pit road. Dave.
Crew Chief Jeremy Bullins told his driver, it played out just as we needed it to. We have our points. Now I'm going to put you back in traffic. I know that. I'm going to adjust the car so it's drivable, Marty.
Jimmy Johnson fighting for his playoff life. You saw that he gained 14 points so far today. That has him +8 above the cut line as of right now. Chad Canal said, is the car better? He would say, I say so. No changes, Kelly.
Collecting stage points has been a strength of this 41 team. 17 today. Kurt Busch needs a little more left rear grip, more lateral grip. It's an air pressure adjustment and fuel.
And a good stop for the 48 team as we watch the race off of pit road. Jimmy Johnson gains a spot, but again, quite a few stayed out on the racetrack. Bowman gaining 4 spots on pit road. When we come back, they'll be diving into the Tums heartburn turn.
Grab an ice cold Coke and buckle up. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
And today's aerial coverage provided by Bank of America. A beautiful scene here at Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Roval. They have sold more tickets here than the past 10 years. So a great crowd on hand for today's race. Let's go back to the Peacock pit box and Chris DeVota.
Yeah, Rick, we can't wait for the post-race show. We will be with you from Victory Lane. Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett are getting ready. They have Roval fever. They've been jumping blue curbs in a golf cart. Last I saw them, Kyle's pocket square is somewhere outside of the back chicane. So we are getting ready, of course, after the post-race show. We have Sunday Night Football, as Rutledge said, at Heinz Field. The terrible towels will be waving. The only thing that matters, what's waving here, that checkered flag. Which 4 drivers will be eliminated? Championship hopes will end here at Charlotte. We will join you from Victory Lane with the race winner after this final stage.
Okay, Steve, now that we're getting ready for the final stage, explain where everyone is.
All right, Rick.
Here's pit stops.
Okay, Rick, so the stages are complicated because when you're going to pit, but now it's simple. Most everyone, except for maybe Hemrick in second, can make it on just one more stop. So that's the leaderboard, Larson through Blaney. So look who has the best tires. You have Larson pitted at 37. Harvick, though, he came at 45, a little bit fresher tires. Menard also came at 47. We look at those names you don't see. Jimmy Johnson barely on the list, down there in 19th. He has the freshest tires, but he lost all his track position trying to win that stage, trying to get those stage points. I think it was a great call. Now, guys, it's one more pit stop. One more time down pit road somewhere in these last 56 laps.
And the stress of getting back through the field. So we've seen how hard it is to pass. So, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, all those guys, they got to drive themselves back up through the field, Parker.
Guys, I'm down here at the restart zone and the final chicane. It's important for 2 reasons. 1, this is where the restart happened. 2, something I noticed yesterday, and I noticed at the end of stage 2 there, was if you're within 6/10 of the car in front of you, you can get to their back bumper by the second to last corner there in turn 16. That may come into play in the final laps here at stage 3 if we have one car chasing down another. We're coming to the restart, Rick.
Thank you, Parker. And we see Daniel Hemrick in the 8. He's on the front row. Daniel Hemrick, not many Cup starts for him, but he will be Cup racing next year. It was announced that he will drive in the Cup Series for RCR in 2019. Currently second in the Xfinity Series points as they come back to the restart and diving into the Tums heartburn turn.
Hemrick on the outside with them old tires is stacking up the outside line. See how all those guys on the inside you're in trouble.
See Jimmy Johnson on the outside lane with Kurt Busch behind him. Watch those points on the left side of the screen. Watch them change as Jimmy Johnson passes guys.
Look how tight it is, too.
Yeah.
1 point for 2 drivers below the cut line.
I thought you was talking about the action on the track, man. These guys going through 6 and 7, bumper to bumper. They're trying to get around. Hemrick really has these guys stacked up here with these older tires and on a different strategy than everyone else.
Hey, Jimmy Johnson looks like the Jimmy Johnson that won 7 championships today. He's working himself through traffic, doing a great job, a fast race car. Look how aggressive he is here coming into the chicane.
Jimmy Johnson on a 51 race winless streak. Surprising that we can say that from a 7-time champion, an 83-time winner, but only one of his 83 wins have come on a road course. So he would like to be the first winner at Charlotte Motor Speedway to get the win at the Roval.
Oh, Buescher had trouble in that 37 car in the chicane. That allowed Almirola to get underneath him. I'm sorry, not Almirola, Allmendinger.
2011, Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin. Little contact earlier, riding along with Jones. Take a look at this.
Yeah, that's the battle I was talking about. Those guys getting through that corner, that was pretty close. Having some trouble there. They're still getting through 6, man. It's really tight. Rolling through there, it's a slow corner.
Well, you said it, Hemrick on those old tires, he's got everybody backed up and everything's stacking up behind him.
Yeah, Chris Buescher, you talk about the damage on his car. He has quite a bit of nose damage. Getting over the curb too much. Parker.
Hey guys, that wasn't the only position that Eric Jones used to get position on our old car. He used it on there of Daniel Hemrick in the 8 down here in turns 16 and 17. He used them up, moved him out of the way, and drove on by. Pretty awesome stuff.
It's an aggressive move right here from Suarez. Jimmy Johnson behind him thinking, please don't wreck. What's Jimmy going to do? Trying to get a good run.
Oh, look out.
Oh.
That was close there.
Ty Dillon in that 13 car just didn't time all that right. Cost him a lot of spots. Cost him 2 spots getting into the back of Jimmy.
They stacked up, but everyone continues to go the right direction.
Jimmy Johnson all the way up to 11th place. Restarted in 19th. Man, when I talked to him this morning, he was happy. Like he's not been happy very many times when I talked to him this year. He's just hadn't had fast race cars, but this racetrack has presented an opportunity and they've taken advantage of it.
Denny Hamlin and Eric Jones battling for 6 and 7. Eric Jones really putting the pressure on here, trying to get around his teammate. These 2 guys here, they got to win the race. They're going to get into the next round of the playoffs. They have to win this race. Both of them being very aggressive. Down the back straightaway.
And they'll dive into turn 11 and 12, the chicane on the back stretch. We'll be right back with more racing from Charlotte. Kyle Larson still out in front, but the big news is Austin Dillon, the winner of the Daytona 500, as the caution has come out. Austin Dillon, Daytona 500 winner earlier this year, slammed into the wall, and now he's going to be heading to pit road. Kelly.
Yeah, huge playoff implications here for Austin Dillon in that 3 car. Austin saying that he had to lift to avoid the 37 of Chris Buescher ahead of him, and he just got spun out. They're going to have to come to pit road, obviously. They're saying the wheel is bent. You can hear the frustration and disappointment from Austin inside that cockpit.
Let's take a look at this and see what happened. He didn't spin out. Chris Buescher has some bad damage on the front of his car, and I believe Chris Buescher was very slow, splitter on the ground. Austin had to avoid him. And I think that outside line is very dirty. We have not been running outside of that bottom groove very much this weekend. And he got up out of that groove, into the debris, into the marbles, into the fence. Right now sitting 14th, below the cut line, 9 points out.
Now that this might bunch the field up, though, who knows how much chaos we'll see after this, right? And that's really what he's looking for. And this is, you mentioned the tight racing.
Yeah, Chris Chris Buescher had a ton of damage to the front of his car, and I think that it's hurt the performance through those big bank corners. That's why Austin accelerated up on him so quickly. You see that damage there.
I'd give that as a ton.
Yeah, that's a ton.
And so a few cars will have to make their way onto pit road to repair the damage. We'll be back for the restart. You're watching the Monster Energy Cup Series Bank of America Roval 400. A couple cars came onto pit road because of the damage that they had. The pit road wasn't open yet. Now that pit road is open, a few takers, a few guys on pit road. Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, they stayed out on the track. McMurray, Harvick, Hamlin, all staying out there. They are top 5. We'll be back for the restart right after this. .48 laps to go in the Charlotte Roval, the first ever road course in the playoffs. And it comes down to who's going to make the best decisions late in this race. Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, side by side as they come back through the restart zone. Back up through the gears as they dive into turn number 1.
This is an important restart.
Both Allmendinger again, 3 wide.
Oh, almost takes out Denny Hamlin with that move. 4 wide back in the pack. I was going to say this is an important restart for Kyle Busch if he wants to try to win this race to get in front of Kyle Larson. Going to have to hustle to get up there and put some pressure on him. That outside line on restarts is really tough. Look at him back there. Eric Jones giving a little bit of business to Allmendinger as they go into turn 5 here.
Yeah, at some point when you start getting restarts like that and the guy just driving in on you, at some point you're just going to have to get rid of him. I mean, you can't, you know what I mean? I mean, you just, I know it's racing, but come on, man. You're going to have to be smart. You're racing to try to make the next round of playoffs. You're going to get unfriendly real quick.
Jeff, I've heard 8 tires turn better, but I don't think I've ever seen 12 or 16. That was like a new multiplier.
That's a super aggressive move. That's being kind.
Using kind words. And again, A.J. Allmendinger on these restarts has been
look at that.
Owen.
He's got a lot of tire smoke there with a rub from that damage.
The right side.
The 7th or the 11th car from the restart. We got a replay of that restart. Let's take a look at it.
Here you go. A.J. Allmendinger made this work earlier. Makes it 3 wide. Drives in the corner. 11 car does not have any idea he's there.
Still rolling 2 wide, 11.
To be honest, not real sure how he would know he's there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a dive bomb, and
Watch your inside here, right on your bumper.
I think Denny Spotter or Denny would have been able to get the information quickly enough to know. Marty.
Well, Junior, we told you 2 things all day long. There's nowhere to pass here. You kind of have to dive bomb people. And number 2, A.J. Allmendinger doesn't have a job for 2019, so he really doesn't care. All he wants is the win. But they think that damage is too much, the tire up too bad. They will pit next time. He said he only feels it in the banking of 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Not as bad there, but they are going to come to pit road next time.
It was like a rental go-kart ride move.
Yeah,
you know,
they get kicked off the go-kart track too every now and then. Throw you off.
Well, and if you're looking for a job, Joe Gibbs Racing might not be the place you're looking after you slam into one of their cars.
Yeah, well, they don't have any seats open anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
But he looks great except until he gets to this particular part of the racetrack right here where we saw the smoke on the last lap.
He goes through 11 and 12 through that backstretch chicane. Again, incredible speeds through there as well as we see the 48 of Jimmy Johnson.
I thought Allmendinger was pitting, and I didn't think that Jimmy knew he was pitting.
Jimmy's got to be careful there with Trevor Bayne on his inside going down in that braking zone. Trevor's trying to give him the spot, but couldn't do it.
We saw the number change for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. It was 7 points, now 8 points because he made the pass just through turn 17. Jimmy Johnson currently running 10th, and he is still above the cut line. That is the magical line right now below 12.
Well, we've talked about how difficult this racetrack is. Well, the best camera I know to show is the driver cam, the helmet cam of Jeffrey Earnhardt. Burton, you've talked about just how hard it is to see around this racetrack. Look, there's walls on the inside and out. A lot of blind corners. Down here, you'll go through this right-hander, and then it goes over a rise, completely blind in this corner 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult part. Check this out. Look, the cars go away. They go away. You cannot see. It's a blind corner. This, to me, is one of the most blind racetracks I've ever been on. You just cannot see where you need to hit your marks. I think that's one of the reasons, that in addition to the track being ultra slick, I think just the sight lines of this racetrack are very tough.
And this is what I want to see. This is a great view of the 4 or 5 cars in front of him. You've talked about the vision coming into this chicane. Well, look, he can't see the curbing because there's cars in front of him. Imagine being even closer. He's 3 or 4 car lengths back. If you're right on that bumper, you have no view.
Here's Eric Jones getting past Paul Menard in the 21. Jones in the 20, and then the 9 of Chase Elliott also trying to move up past Paul Menard.
Battle for 6, 7, and 8. Paul Menard's a pretty good little road racer.
The 3 has hit the wall again. Austin Dillon slamming the wall as he came out of 17.
And that right front tire is not rolling. This is heavy, heavy damage for the 3 car. The track stays under a green flag condition.
More than likely, this is it. This is the end of his hopes of making the playoffs. You just heard we're done.
Well, that tells me Denny Hamlin in a must-win, the 20 in a must-win, the 3 of Austin Dillon currently well below the cut line. Man, there's a bunch of guys racing to make the playoffs. Currently the 88, the only other car outside.
It's just heartbreaking when you put everything you have into trying to make the next round, and you know right now it's not going to happen.
One more.
It's a terrible feeling.
From the ultimate high of winning the Daytona 500 to start off the season to now not being able to advance out of round 1. And now the caution has come out.
That's the way this racing is, man. Highest of highs, followed by the lowest of lows.
Here's how it happened. You see way up ahead, riding along with Jeffrey Earnhardt.
Remember, he had damage earlier.
It's pretty good contact, hard hit into the wall, blew a right front tire.
Yeah, a tire or something, don't you think, Dale?
Yeah, I'd say blew right front tire, broke something in the right front suspension. Car went straight into the fence.
And in my mind, why this makes it a little easier for the playoff guys, now there's another one in the garage. You know, no one wants to see these restarts. Definitely not these playoff contenders, because it's crazy on these restarts. And with 44 to go, I don't know. So they're not inside the pit window. So I expect most everyone to stay on the racetrack. But the one option this does create, Dale, you and I did this at Pocono. It'd be the same idea here. If you're, say, Bowman, Blaney, Boyer, Logano, somewhere out back half of the field, pit now, put on 4 tires, you only have to run about 6 more laps, and then you just come get splash of fuel, Rick. You know, on about a 3-4 second pit stop, that'll save you 8, 9, 10 seconds on pit road. You may not win the race, but 10 seconds you can leapfrog a lot of cars and gain some track position. So while I don't expect the leaders to pit here, someone's going to try something different.
Don't make such a big deal about how we won that race.
Oh, wait a minute. Was he insinuating that it might have been strategy that had something to do with it?
Yeah.
I always thought it was the driver.
I'm telling you, man, that last year he called races completely different. It's a lot of fun.
We were showing all those restarts, and with A.J. Allmendinger making that aggressive move, well, there's always a winner and always a loser. Well, watch Chase Elliott. Watch what he does. And you see Jimmy Johnson up here? He's got to get really slow, having all kinds of problems. Chase Elliott, he's on the bottom. He just takes advantage of that opportunity. The hole opened for him. He jumped through it. Did a really good job, and that's moved him all the way up to 7th place. So that's being heads up, looking way ahead, seeing that open and just going for it.
Jeff, you and I were down in that spot on the racetrack this morning. I mean, it doesn't look like 2 cars can go through there, and they're getting 3 through there on every restart.
It is so tight over there. And I think, too, where the restart zone is, Steve, I think they might be going faster on a restart than they are actually under green flag conditions. Some guys pitting here.
Here's a couple making their way onto pit road. Again, pit road now just open. Eric Jones, Paul Menard, he's coming down pit road. Looks like Daniel Suarez as well. Marty.
Rick, like Steve said, you got to do something here if you're Eric Jones. Right now, 19 below the cut line in a must-win situation. The car has not been nearly as good since that first run today. They haven't been able to make up the track position. Going to take on 4 Goodyear tires here and see if they can do something at the end of this race. Got to make something happen, right, guys?
That's it, Marty. Chris Gale knows. Staying in line, he has a 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th place car. That's not getting him in the playoffs. He's not sure if this call will work out, but there's no telling more chaos coming at the Roval.
.42 laps to go. Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Charlotte. Getting ready for another restart. There have been 5 cautions today. 4 different lead changes between 3 leaders. That's Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, and Kurt Busch have all led laps today.
I want to watch, but I'm nervous. Like, I want to watch, but I'm scared to watch. I'm definitely going to be watching the 47.
Restarts have continued to get even crazier. Let's see how this one works out.
I think Jimmy Johnson moved to the inside, trying to block anything that Allmendinger might do. Trying to get through there pretty clean. Kyle Larson still jumping out to the leads, dominating these restarts.
These restarts are so stressful for these guys trying to earn themselves into the next round of the playoffs, because this is where the wrecks happen. This is where
Jamie
it's so
McMurray
stressful.
up here putting the pressure on. He's also a pretty good road course racer.
And also,
oh no, we got
off track almost.
That was
with
close.
88 of Bowman.
Yep.
You mentioned Jamie McMurray. There's also question where he's going to be driving next year. He's also in that job search.
Look at this. The 88, the 12, the 14, all those guys right there in 11th, 12th, and 13th in the playoffs, battling for positions, battling to be above that cut line. Let's see how Alex gets off the racetrack. Going into turn 5, trying to get to the outside here, but he gets ran into the paint. And that paint is supposed to have just as much grip as the racetrack. Lucky for him. He was in the grass. He'd have lost a ton of spots. Look at the battle there with the 12 and the 14 getting together in 3 and 4. The oval.
Tight racing here. Denny Hamlin in the 11, Jimmy Johnson the 48, just behind them. Chase Elliott in the 9.
We've been talking about Jimmy Johnson and earning points by his good finish in the stages, and also hopefully at the end of the race for him. He's thinking win. He's got a good enough car to win this race today, and he's driving like that. He's not driving like he's afraid he's going to make a mistake. He's driving like he wants to take this trophy home, and a win guarantees him to the next round.
He is definitely on the move. The 48 making the Chevy on the move look very impressive. Before the race, he was 6 points below the cut line in 14th. Currently, he's in 10th as the points and as they run. Oh, and around goes the 10 of Eric Almirola again. This time into the grass, and the 37 of Buescher also involved. Chris Buescher actually just taking some of the advertisement with him. Caution has come out again.
There's something you don't see every day.
You're looking for something from Echo Park.
Echo Park.
The traveling billboard.
I didn't know you could. I mean, that's why you buy the billboards.
You just didn't know they were going to be traveling billboards.
Little added.
Yeah, this is what you hope happens when you play for that billboard.
Normally we see this pulled behind an airplane, but here it's behind the 37 of Buescher. So
It's be interesting to see how this affects Eric Almirola going forward, because he is also a driver that's flirting with that cut line with the troubles he's had today. He's actually in a good position, having rebounded from that incident with the wall. Let's take a look at the replay to see what happened between these two. Heading into turn 5. I mean, this is a tricky little corner. The 37 gets off the track. So what happened to Eric Almirola here? Did he join him?
Separate issues.
Coming up over 6. Oh, wow. Did Eric get sent by the 17, I wonder?
Oh, Bojangles got spit off, though. Didn't get caught.
Bojangles, that should be $1 less on the next biscuit you buy. One of those things gets hit. That would be my hope.
And
Party.
You see Chris Buescher on pit road. They did inform Eric Almirola, because his first question was, who did that. They said Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and he was not very happy about that. And also those signs you saw sitting on the grass, there are sandbags in those signs. Actually, his teammate Kevin Harvick pointed that out before the race. He said, someone hits that, it could do real damage to your car.
Well, the bag might be still attached to the back of the 10. Yes, sure enough, that is one of those bags. You see it. You see the sandbag sitting out there, but one of them is empty and is still hanging on to the back of the 10 car.
Yeah, that's something I think we need to rethink going forward, is if that's necessary. If these guys have these cars so low to the ground with the splitters, I mean, that's, you know, hitting the sandbag and destroying the front of your race car just by getting off course a little bit would be really frustrating, especially for these guys in the playoffs trying to get into the next round. Be taken out by a sandbag. So,
well, I remember drivers and actually sometimes crew members saying, if you stay on the course, you won't hit anything.
Yeah. Pushing with everything you got. Sometimes you're going to put a tire off.
This is a very curious time for a yellow. The fuel window we expect somewhere between 35 and 37 laps depending on the car. We're coming to 39 laps to go. But how many yellows are we going to see? You save a lot of fuel under yellow, especially at a road course where you can shut the engine off and run less RPM. So will anyone gamble? Is this the moment where Kyle Larson, does he have to come? Will other cars come to pit road? I'm not sure who's going to make the hard left-hand turn to come down pit road, but Marty?
And there was a big debate among everybody of whether or not to come. But Steve, I think everybody kind of sided with you, saying we can save a little bit of fuel on our own. Kyle Larson comes down pit road, but first Chase Elliott in front of you, Dave.
Marty, they waited to find out what the rest of the field was going to do up front, so the 9 car does come. Chase will get 4 and fuel.
Kyle Larson, Dave, did say the car very good, especially on the older tires. They cannot make it straight up from here to the end of the race, but they will save enough fuel, they hope, to be able to make it to the checkered flag and even a green-white checkered, possibly. Kelly?
2 laps is what I was hearing over the radio. That's how many laps these teams will be short of fuel, so they're going to have to do some saving. That's Joey Logano, who has battled both a loose and tight race car at times, getting 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel.
And how about this name? William Byron won the race off of pit road. The 24 team with an incredible stop. And somebody that we weren't expecting to hear from this early out of the car is now standing by with Kelly.
Yeah, Austin Dillon's been released from the infield care center. Certainly not where you wanted to be. Talking to me, Austin, what happened that led to that initial contact with the wall?
Well, first of all, I got to thank everybody at Dow, American Ethanol, AAA for this year, and hopefully, you know, something happens. This was a crazy race. I was having a good run, and the 37, I went through NASCAR 3 and 4, and I knew I didn't need to make a mistake, and I didn't think that was how I was going to make a mistake. And he flicked the wheel right in the middle of the corner, and when he did, I checked, and I smacked the outside wall, and just couldn't save it there. And we fixed it, and I came back up through there and jumped the curb, and I think that's kind of what cut my tire down going into 3 and 4. I should have just been more patient and waited for more attrition to go out, but I actually felt pretty comfortable and running good, and it's just hard to hold back. And treacherous race, and I guess just didn't do what we needed to do.
Thank you so much, Austin. Being told he's still not mathematically out, Rick, but it's going to be a long shot.
It's going to be difficult for Austin to advance. A lot of things would have to happen.
These playoff drivers have had a tough time. Eric Jones right off the start in a backup car having to go to the back. Same with Denny Hamlin, both making their day start very difficult.
In turn 1, they get together. We've seen this all day long with the guys on the outside line and give a little damage to the 20 car, but he soldiered on.
Eric Almirola having to go around William Byron, got into the wall, made contact. Then he was penalized. You see that rear tire uncontrolled. Then he got spun out through the grass.
Austin Dillon with trouble trying to miss the 37. Chris Buescher gets up out of the groove into the fence. They get the car repaired. He's back out there making laps, trying to work his way into the playoffs, and has another tire issue. Gets in the fence. Now he's out of the race.
New players up front, Rick.
Stenhouse Jr. and Paul Menard making up row number 1, and we're wondering how long Stenhouse Jr. can stay up there. You got to keep your eye on the 47 of A.J. Allmendinger. Never know where he's going to go on the restart. Hard into the gas and onto the brakes. Now Eric Jones a little.
Oh, look at Kyle Busch cutting the course.
That'll be a penalty.
Oh man, that takes him out of the running to be able to win this race.
Well, there's a lot of racing still to go as we have still 38 laps remaining.
The 19 made contact with the 20. He's got damage to the left rear quarter panel. 19 has damage to the front of his car from that. You see the 20. Eric Jones has a flat tire, flat left rear tire from that damage. He's gonna have to limp around. That's going to really take him out of the opportunity to advance in the next round.
Hang on, we'll get back around.
Long lap here.
See the damage on the right front of the 20 of Eric Jones.
Actually got a flat left rear tire from contact with a 19. You see the damage to the right front of the 19 car back there in 4th place. All that happened going down into turn 1.
Now on that restart, we saw the 18 dive and cut the corner. NASCAR has said if the course was cut to gain advantage, you will be penalized. And
oh, guys, trouble. The 20 spun here off back chicane.
Eric Jones has spun that left rear tire down for Eric Jones. He stays on the apron. But again, a difficult day for the 20 as well as the 11. Two of the drivers that were in a position they had to come out and win this race if they wanted to advance.
So, but the 17's off course over in turn 4 into the grass, losing the lead. Menard to the lead. That's the second time Stenhouse has been off course there this weekend. I believe he stayed out of the tire barrier.
Suarez had looked to the inside of the 42 of Kyle Larson, and now Larson trying to forge ahead as they come through turn 8.
Got some replay on what happened to the 20 car here on this restart. Well, moves it in. Oh, look at that. He runs into the 17. The 19 hits him in the back. The 17 has a tire rub. He probably has a left rear tire going down as well. Similar to what the 20 had. Here's the 20 spin coming out of the back straightaway, turn 12. Left around the pit road. Stenhouse has some real issues. Tire rub with that left rear quarter panel.
And we're hearing from NASCAR that the 18 of Kyle Busch is not going to receive a penalty.
Wow. Well, let's see why. They have a reason they called it. Let's see what their decision is. So you see the guys wrecking in front of him.
So he restarted in the 9th position. He goes here to avoid contact, but because he comes out in 10th, NASCAR deems it wasn't an advantage. They said you could cut the course to avoid an accident. They don't feel it was an advantage. He actually lost a position, so that's NASCAR's ruling that he didn't, as you put it, what'd you say? Won't matter?
To gain advantage. He didn't cut the course to gain advantage. He ended up cutting the course to avoid an accident.
And it looked like he backed up. He could have throttled up and probably picked up some spots, and I don't think he did. He realized he was in there, slowed down. When I first saw it live, I thought surely that's going to be a penalty. I thought he picked up a ton of spots. See Ryan Newman around.
Facing the wrong direction, and he's going to try to get it straight back out.
It's a turn 7.
I think you're right, Rick. I know there's going to be a lot of conversation about that, but I agree that Kyle tried to not take an advantage of it, right? Once he got back on the racetrack, he was patient blending back with traffic.
This is the 31 going around of Newman. Newman out of the 31 and into the 6 for Roush Fenway Racing in 2019.
And Clint Boyer was back there behind him. Clint Boyer has struggled. I'm not sure what's going on with him, but remember, he was running with Jimmy Johnson. He was running with him a lot, and now he's gotten back there in that 17th, 18th spot and just can't get himself out of there.
Here's the lead right here. Paul Menard.
And these two are on the same pit strategy. Both came to pit road at lap 66.
Brad Keselowski's much quicker, though. As you see, he's closed in. Coming into turn 6. Oh, Paul slides the back of the car there a little bit. He's struggling with the grip. Brad putting the pressure on coming through turn 8.
So you want to try to back up a little bit to accelerate. He looks like got a good run. Yep. Going to turn left, kind of shortcut it a little bit.
For the lead, Keselowski powering by Paul Menard. New leader and one of the hottest drivers in NASCAR, Brad Keselowski out front. We go NASCAR nonstop.
Okay, look, if you're not the lead dog, the scenery never changes. That's why this is the view for every other full-size pickup. And this year, it's deja vu all over again. Because only the Ford F-150 with its high-strength, military-grade aluminum alloy body gives you best-in-class torque, best-in-class payload, and you got it, baby, best-in-class towing. Still leading the pack. This is the big dog. This is the Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, pal. It is the bar.
Know what goes great with steak and shrimp? More shrimp. And you know what goes great with that shrimp? You guessed it, more shrimp. Steak and unlimited shrimp starting at $15.99. Only at Outback.
Here's a good Halloween trick. Buy a bunch of Reese's. There you go. Turn off all the lights in your house. Yeah. And then you just don't answer the door. Not sorry, Reese's.
Your microwave doesn't need another frozen meal, and neither do you. Only Hardee's and Carl's Jr. bring the heat with a variety of full-flavored all-star meals starting at $5. Get a real meal, paid for by Hardee's and Carl's Jr.
When it's too cold for camping, we go camping. When it's too hot to work, we work. Too wet to keep going? Nah. This is the Gator XUV 835 with game-changing heat and air and 3 wide seating. It's never too anything for anything. Nothing runs like a deer. Get $400 off the Gator XUV 835M at any participating John Deere dealer.
Know what goes great with steak and shrimp? More shrimp. And you know what goes great with that shrimp? You guessed it, more shrimp. Steak and unlimited shrimp starting at $15.99. Only at Outback.
Can the Reds topple the title holders? Or will they be left feeling blue? All rise for Premier League mornings. Liverpool, Manchester City on NBCSN.
Welcome to Wednesday Night Hockey, where the stars come out to play. This is the big time. Now let's kick it off, all cap style. Boston brings it to DC, where the champs will raise their Stanley Cup banner. And later, Erik Karlsson makes his Sharks debut. It's a Wednesday Night Hockey doubleheader on NBCSN.
Today's aerial coverage provided by Bank of America, giving us a great perspective of what has transformed into the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Still out front, Brad Keselowski and Paul Menard running second. He's a second and a half back. Then it's Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, William Byron, and Daniel Suarez all in the top 10. Is there a strategy now, for example, the 2 and the 21, the guys running first and second, they came to pit road on lap 66. That would mean over 40 laps they would have to go on fuel, and you said the fuel window is about
35 to 37. I know we don't have a lot of history at this racetrack, but that seems like a lot. If I know Paul Wolfe and Brad Keselowski, they already have a win. There's no reason they can gamble. Running out of gas is not going to hurt them. They're here only for the playoff points, but that just seems like a lot to try to save. But I think everyone is in a little bit of fuel conservation mode at this point.
And Steve, they said to Brad, when we say save fuel, we mean save fuel. Your last lap was the fastest lap this round. So they said slow it down, back it down. Brad actually called in about lap 69 and said, well, we got to save you about 2 laps here, right? So he has been on that mode ever since they sort of fell into this position with a very fast race car. So they think they're going to go for it. And as you pointed out, Steve, nothing to lose here. Already a win in round 1 advancing him.
And it's really all about caution laps. He already has 3 because of the other yellow. So if we start to get a bunch of yellows, that would definitely help Brad out. Look, I like to gamble. We always say, let's gamble. Well, Brad Keselowski, Paul Wolfe, they're gambling.
Well, he didn't listen, because that was a 79.44. That was still an exceptionally fast lap. He has a 2.5-second lead, so if he wants to save fuel, he can slow down much, much more.
And Kyle Larson, who was out front for 47 laps of this race, currently running in the 3rd position. He's 2.8 seconds back. looking to try to take that second spot away from Paul Menard as he closes in on it.
Why that's important for Kyle Larson is he has 4 laps more fuel in the tank. I don't know if that's enough to get the 42 to the finish, but he has to be in better shape than Brad Keselowski. So get in front of this 21 car and then push the 2, right? Don't let Brad Keselowski back up to you. Make him burn as much fuel as possible.
Parker.
Guys, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson is flying right now. One of the coolest places to watch him is back here in turns 11, 12 in the backstretch chicane. He's so smooth. He set up a pass on Daniel Slur just a couple laps ago where he basically hopped over the blue curbing on the exit. And then he did the same thing to Chase Elliott just a couple laps later. He's flying. The 7-time champ is going to the front right now.
You say that with such conviction, Parker. It's almost as though you predicted that he might win today.
Almost, Ray.
Brad Keselowski and Paul Menard still running 1 and 2. We see Jimmy Johnson now running in that 6th spot with Harvick behind him. 3 wide into turn 1, that Tums heartburn turn.
And they're all trying to get around Ty Dillon there, but Denny Hamlin's been struggling trying to keep his track position. He loses a spot to Blaney, to Boyer. Now he has the 88 of Bowman behind him.
This battle's been crazy back here. They've been going at it. You can see Clint Boyer in that 14 car. He's 6 points to the good. Alex Bowman in the 88, only a couple cars behind him, needs to make up 6 points.
14 radio right here.
All clear. By 1. Right now, you're in the 88 racing for the last spot, and you're in. Pops, you got to keep Josh informed of what he did. He's in. He don't need to be stupid right here.
Listen, your in isn't enough information. I mean, is in 1 point? Is in 20 points? He needs to know exactly what he has to do. It's 1 point per position. Pretty simple to figure it out. You need to let him know exactly what situation he's in.
I like it, though. It raises the urgency inside that cockpit, and I hope they're telling the same thing to the 10, the 12, the 88, all these guys that are right there around that bubble. Hey, man, it's time to go. We can't give up any spots. You get an opportunity to take one, you take it.
You saw that pass for second place. Kyle Larson just got by Paul Menard. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. has been really fast, been the fastest car on the racetrack the last several laps. He's trying a little too hard right here. Look at the left front tire.
Oh, man.
Let's hope that doesn't cause a problem for him. We saw earlier in the race, left front tires fail after a big lockup. Marty.
Hey guys, all these guys who pitted at lap 70 thinking they're very close on fuel. And I heard what Dave said a moment ago about Brad Keselowski, who pitted 4 laps earlier. But I can tell you, Kevin Harvick's team, Jimmy Johnson's team, all these guys are worried that they're about a half lap short. Their drivers doing all they can to save fuel. They've asked both of these drivers to short shift. Jeff, explain what that means as we ride on board with Kevin Harvick and that awesome foot cam.
Yeah, short shift, just shift sooner. Just get it out of the RPM range. Don't burn, don't let that engine turn as many RPMs. The more RPMs you're turning, the more fuel you're burning. It's great foot cam right here. Really interesting thing about this road course, you can see drives into turn 1. Really no downshift, nothing really happening.
Right. Stenhouse misses the chicane on the front straightaway. He has to come to a stop. This is a great battle, and he was part of that. Jamie McMurray, Suarez, Blaney, all those guys up there. We're going to watch this. Look at that battle, man. All these guys. There's a lot of playoff implications right here with these guys. He gets in there a little deep. Smart. Comes to a stop. Gets one again.
It goes through that turf. No splitter damage whatsoever. That artificial turf, perfectly smooth.
I'm all for it. Put it at every racetrack. See the playoff points, the bubble. It's close, man. It's going to come down to the finish at the very last lap of this race, especially with the strategy and the fuel mileage, uncertainties. Eric Almirola doing an incredible job with the trouble he's had today. Still plus 11.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. running 26, but still out front. Brad Keselowski, who has never won at a road course, now has his hands full. Something wrong.
Yeah, he's got some damage on the left front. The splitter's knocked up. He's hit the blue curbs somewhere.
Splitter's knocked up. Fender's been in.
Well, look at that car just destroyed all the way around.
And Kyle Larson sees the blood in the water. He's going after Brian Keselowski right now.
It doesn't look like there's any tire roads, but that splitter being high is going to affect the aero and the balance of that race car.
He's trying to set him up, going to back up this corner just a little bit, then accelerate and try to beat him onto the bank, and Keselowski fought him off, though.
I think Brad might have been feeling his car out through that infield section, gaining more and more confidence with each corner.
This is the fastest part of the racetrack right here. That left front fender damage will really hurt his car the way it drives, more so here than anywhere else.
They just told Kyle Larson about the damage for the 2-car. They said be patient with him. He's going to feel it eventually, but he may not feel it right now.
It's going to hurt him in that corner. You see the 42 gaining on him. It hurts you in those bank high-speed corners because of that splitter being so high.
Oh, it's almost the same way he wrecked the other day.
Here we go.
It is.
Kyle Larson into the lead.
Keselowski knew it. Just slowed up, gave him the spot. Once he got up,
he's not done fighting. Look at this. All right.
Crossed him over.
Side by side into turn 3.
Larson's got the preferred spot.
Oh, man.
Gonna push him out.
Look at that. Incredible racing. This will be tough for Brad right here uphill. Wow, he pushes, he drives it up in there. Oh, he knows if he rolls this outside here, he's got the inside line at turn 7.
Yeah, he's inside now. Now Larson's got to just try to set him up. Back up
do a crossover. Here we
underneath him. Can he carry speed to the front, to the straightaway? No, he can't. Keselowski, man, he's into the next round of playoffs. He doesn't care. He just wants to win this race. He just made a mistake, ran over the curb, damaged his car. He's got to be the guy that does not let that keep him from winning this race. It was his fault, his mistake. He's going to have to get up on the wheel, keep Larson behind him.
That was entertaining.
Oh, it's more coming.
Well, he's back here. He's back here in turn 3 and 4. He's going to lose some ground. The 42. The 42 will be back on his bumper. But you're going to see it all as we go to nonstop.
Chuck Norris? Can you sign my Tacoma?
I'll be glad to.
From the fist of a legend rises a new action star. A hero who's there to save the day and the night. So fearless, so rugged, he's tough as Chuck.
You replaced me with a truck?
Toyota, let's go places.
You know I like to keep it saucy. That's why I love McDonald's new glazed tenders. They're sweet, like me.
Oh, thanks, Grandma. Ooh. Ow.
And spicy, too, like me. Who invited you?
I'm your grandson.
Not in that jersey.
Introducing McDonald's Sweet and Spicy Honey Barbecue Glazed Tenders. Made with all white meat chicken, hand-tossed and glazed to order. They're the perfect combination of sweet and spicy, just like Grandma.
Susan wanted to turn the garage into a yoga studio, but her husband thought a home office would be more practical. It can be tough to get her chakras in line. Yeah, Susan's had to compromise a lot these days, but not when it comes to cutting the cord. Fubo gives her all the sports she wants, as well as all the shows her family loves. Don't compromise. Get over 100 channels plus Showtime and Cloud DVR included. Visit FuboTV.com.
Some things should never change, like the crisp, cold refreshment of Busch. But some things should, like Frank's Camp Socks.
Belly buttons are funny. Are you an innie or an outie? What do you got?
Innie?
Tell me what you got.
Audi.
Tell me what you got.
Innie.
We've got 3 innies and only 1 outie. What are the chances?
Yeah, wow.
It's playoff time in Texas, when NASCAR giants battle in the Citadel of Speed. Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. The greatest of them all will soon gather before us to face the ultimate test, the AAA Texas 500. They race at Texas Motor Speedway, Sunday, November 4. 2 tickets and a scanner for as low as $99 at TexasMotorspeedway.com.
There's another new hit drama joining This Is Us on NBC Tuesdays. New Amsterdam. See why fans love this show.
We can only help people if we ourselves take risks.
New Amsterdam, Tuesday on NBC, and stream anytime.
You're watching the Monster Energy Cup Series Bank of America Roval 400. And I think a lot of fans have been won over by Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson. All you have to do, if you want some of their memorabilia, go to NASCAR.com/shop. They've got T-shirts, jackets, hats, die-casts, everything. We have seen incredible racing. We just saw Kyle Busch make the pass on the 21 of Paul Menard, taking a spot away. He has moved up to third. Keselowski, Larson, Kyle Busch, the top three. Marty.
And Rick's strategy is all over the map with these guys making it to the end. Here was a conversation a moment ago between Chad Johnson and Kyle Larson talking about racing Brad Keselowski.
Biggest thing is keeping those guys behind you. He's 4 laps worse on field than he is, so if he wants to run out of it, let him.
And he was in essence saying, hey, we're going to be about a half lap short. They told Kyle Busch, who now is in third. You saw that pass around Paul Menard. Save me every drop you can. They wanted to get by the 21. And then further back, Kevin Harvick's team saying, we're 3 laps short. So, Steve, it's interesting. You say some teams saying half lap short, some teams saying 3 laps short. But Rodney Childers made a great point. They have no history at this racetrack, so nobody really knows truly how that fuel mileage is going to work out. But they're going to find out pretty quick because they're cutting it close.
Yeah, because even looking at practice speeds, they're faster than the race. You have fresher tires and track's just cleaner. So it's hard to predict as the pace falls.
42 almost spun out.
He's trying. So much for taking it easy. About spun out following the two. But if the pace falls, how much fuel you burn? And this will be the longest run of the day. It's a lot of inexact science in some fuel mileage.
Yeah, and Steve, we're talking about, you know, these leaders, the guys that are up front that may run out of fuel. But what about Clint Boyer?
Oh.
What about Blaney? What about those guys, man? I mean,
yeah. Hey, you're in the playoffs.
I mean,
now you're not.
What if you run out of gas with a lap to go and you don't advance in the playoffs? That's a horrible situation to be in. Kelly.
Yeah, a little earlier we saw the 18 of Kyle Busch get around the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Well, the team told him to let Busch go by. He said, we got to get into harder fuel savings mode. They told him to start short shifting, use as little brake as possible, and just let it coast. They did have a pretty good gap behind them, or they feel like they have enough of a gap anyway to not lose any more positions while trying to save max fuel.
And now Keselowski has Larson back on his back bumper because they're coming up on lap traffic.
Brad is pretty competitive everywhere on the racetrack. It's funny to watch these guys run this infield part of the track. They both run such different lines. Look where Brad is and where Kyle is and how they're entering that turn 3, where they're running. They're backing corners up, chopping entries, running wide. They're both doing this a little bit differently. You'll see in turn 7 how they set up for turn 7. Dave.
Alex Bowman just below the cut line as they run. He'll be the first to pit out of 15th and put fresh tires on, see if he can make up more ground faster while he's got the fresher rubber. It's a chance they have to take.
Well, not just fresh rubber, but you just said it, Bert. What happens if these guys start running out of fuel? Well, the 88 has been the guy barely out, 4, 5, 6 points out. They ran for 20 laps. He's still 6 points out. Greg Ives says, you know what? I need to get in the offensive. I can't let someone make a mistake and come back to me. I'm going to push the issue. I love this call by the 88. They'll stay on the racetrack. And now if a yellow comes out, even if guys stay on the racetrack and try to save fuel, he can be aggressive on those tires.
So, Steve, if you're the 14 car and the 88's really who you're racing, because the 3 is out of the day, the 11 and the 20, they're going to have to win to get in. Why not just match them? Why not just come in and do the same strategy?
That is a great point, Jeff. I think the 14 could do it, but if you're going to do it, you have to do it soon. You can't let the 88 have a few laps on tires, then you're going to come out behind him.
Yeah, you look at that points right now, and you see Clint Boyer's plus 19 on the 88. It's hard to give any of that up.
Oh, here you go, Jeff.
Here he comes, though.
And it's that
Blaney as well.
Blaney and the 14 of Clint Boyer on pit road.
These may be moves not about the best finish, but just racing the people that you have to beat.
You talk about that all the time. You just got to beat the guys around you when it's that close to the cut line. So Blaney is in. He'll get 4 fresh tires and fuel. The 14 of Clint Boyer is in. They were up on the wall when you guys were telling that story, so we knew it was going to be time to go. They made the move as well.
We
talked about this at the top of the show, Rick. There was a group of guys that just needed to score some points. Then there were 6 drivers for 4 spots. One of those drivers was Austin Dillon. He's had an accident. Now it's 5 drivers for 4 spots. This is the race within the race. They are matching each other's moves like a chess match. Now the question, though, is how about Jimmy Johnson in 5th? Can you possibly pit from the 5th position?
Or are you saving that much fuel every lap, hoping that you can get there? As Bowman is going by Blaney.
That's a big blend, right? They're racing each other for points, so that 1 lap for the 88 allows him to come out in front of Blaney and in front of Clint Boyer.
And that 19-point lead that Clint Boyer had is now down to just 2. Changing every lap. Oh, look here.
Blaney looked to the inside.
He thought about it. He thought about diving in there. Boyer's back there wishing he would.
Yep.
Boyer's car's got a little bit of damage, it looks like to me. The nose looks a little weird. Right in the middle of the car.
And again, this is championship. Right, this is championship hopes on the line right now. Right now, 2 points to the good for the 14 of Clint Boyer. But as we mentioned, a little damage to the front of his car. That's 2 positions. 2 cars past Clint Boyer, and he'll be behind the 88 in the points.
And I think Clint Boyer's car just isn't as good as it was early in the day. That damage has something to do with it, I believe.
Jeff, multiple times he's hit the wall today. First time, man, not so much looks good to us, feels fine to the driver. Next time, yeah, hit it a little bit harder. He seems to have had most trouble exiting turn 8, getting onto the oval. So keep an eye over there, but I think that last time he said, I hit it pretty hard.
Alex Bowman cannot shake this 12 car.
Listen into Ryan Blaney's radio.
Right now, we're 4 points to the good. If you can get by him, that's better for us. But we are in a good spot still right now. 4 points to the good.
Yeah, that's great information, but 4 points is 4 positions. I know. I mean, 1 restart and you lose 6 or 7, so I think you got to go get as many as you can here.
Everybody's fighting for every position around the racetrack. Less than 18 laps to go in Charlotte to determine who will still have a shot at the championship. You're not going to miss a thing as we go NASCAR nonstop.
Oh, wow. Look at you. You got a Ram. What made you do that?
A lot of reasons. A comfort you wouldn't believe. Luxury everywhere you look. Not to mention legendary Hemi V8 power.
Maybe I should switch.
More people are switching to Ram trucks than ever before. And now get $1,000 bonus cash if you make the switch during Ram Power Days. During Ram Power Days, get an average $10,433 in total values on select all-new 2019 Ram 1500 models in dealer stock.
Kevin here says Mobil 1 annual protection is proven to protect for 20,000 miles.
It'll save you a lot of time. Dad, with all this extra time...
Sorry, buddy. Kevin and I have a tea time at 11.
20,000 miles guaranteed. Mobil 1 annual protection.
Some restaurants say you should drink your meals. Well, America deserves better. At Hardee's and Carl's Jr., choose from a variety of full-flavored all-star meals starting at $5. Get a real meal. Paid for by Hardee's and Carl's Jr.
As people who love the outdoors, we know what we stand for. We stand for fish, wildlife, and conserving the places they call home. We stand for the traditions we inherited and that we must pass on. We stand for great gear, fair prices, expert service, and memorable experiences. At Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's, we stand together for you. Come in today for great deals on great gear.
My burger goes best with mustard.
Ketchup and mustard.
Grass-fed beef.
No, corn-fed.
On the grill.
Now, flat top.
Iceberg lettuce.
Nah, arugula. Jalapeno.
No way. Avocado, dude.
Medium rare. Gotta be well done. Brioche.
Sesame seeds.
American cheese.
Cheddar.
Can I have a turkey burger? What? Turkeys are for Thanksgiving, man. I like my burger with the Coke.
I'll agree to that. Strictly with the Coke.
Only with the Coke.
Coke and a burger. Come on.
All right.
That's where you get the flavor.
I'm just fulfilling my destiny.
I think crowd reaction, whether it's good, whether it's bad,
I sure as heck don't need no introduction.
I think it's a positive thing. They either like me or they don't.
Kyle Busch, he'll win a ticket to the second round.
Or they do and they don't, both in the same breath.
I'm just fulfilling my destiny. 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 I'm just fulfilling my destiny.
The Gander Outdoors 400 from Dover on NBCSN.
cats and dogs, Hatfields and McCoys, Nitro and Glycerin. Some things just don't play nice together. All eyes on Ravens Steelers. All eyes on Sunday Night Football.
It's Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Charlotte and the Roval. The first time that the Monster Energy Cup Series has ever had a road course race in the playoffs. Take a look at today's Ram trucks proven to last.
Fuel mileage. Everyone at the front of the pack talking about can they make it on fuel, guys.
Yeah, restarts. We've seen issues on restarts. Would you be surprised at all, Junior, if we had a late race restart? I wouldn't. You're going to have to get through there clean and pick up spots.
Yeah, you're also going to have to minimize the mistakes to zero. You can't make any if you want to be able to make it in that next round of the playoffs.
Well, I wasn't that nervous till you just said that.
No mistakes. Zero. Marty.
It is so fluid down here on pit road, guys, with playoff lives on the line. Kyle Busch's team has told him, save me everything you can. Slow down in every corner. His pace so much slower than Kyle Larson, who we're riding on board with several times now. Chad Johnson has told Larson, listen, the two cannot make it to the end of the race. The two of Keselowski cannot make it to the end. You don't let him dictate pace. You dictate pace. So you see Larson running a little bit quicker, Steve, but I got to wonder, is that pace too quick to make it to the end on fuel?
And I think he's questioning Larson, because Larson, it would be stretching it for him because he came 4 laps later than Brad Keselowski.
Yeah. Blocked it up for the 88. That's what we're talking about. No mistakes. You can't slide these tires. You can't have a tire failure right now or an issue that brings you to pit road if you're Alex Bowman. So to Marty's point, Kyle Larson has 13 seconds over Kyle Busch. So if Kyle Larson runs out of gas at the end of this race, then it was just mismanaged. You see this lockup by the 88 and a curb. Yeah. Imagine how bad it is on the tire to be drug across that curb, much less the asphalt itself.
And again, Bowman right now is on
Still
the
locking it up. Yeah, so he's got a flat spot. That tells me that he's got a terrible flat spot if it's able to lock that tire up on the normal braking zone.
So look behind him. You've got the 12. You got the 14. Look at the points. 4 points to the good for the 12, 2 for the 14, -2 for the 88. Now go forward of the 88. Look what he has an opportunity to do. There's people in front of him that he can go pick up spots. Only 14 to go. Can he get by 2 people that would get him in position and Boyer not get by him? That's why you're seeing Bowman so aggressive. He can't ride around here. He's got to push this car to try to go get 3 points. 3 positions ahead of Boyer from where he is now could possibly get it done. Dave.
And Greg Ives told me this morning he was not surprised at the qualifying effort that Bowman put in. He said he's not known as a road racer, but he's very smooth. He's done that well all weekend long. Behind him, the 12, Ryan Blaney, a little bit more rattled on the radio today. They've been trying to calm him down. And the car behind the 12 of Blaney, the 14 of Clint Boyer. Other than that damage, he's been very smooth, and Boyer has been good on the radio. He's been positive, and he knows he just has to try to get by these guys. Right now, Boyer +1 as they run.
He needs 1 more to tie Boyer, and then the tiebreaker goes to finishes in this round. Who has the best finish?
I don't think there's damage there because the tire's still rolling. That means it doesn't sit in one spot and drag this one spot. I think he's okay. Look at that, 1 point. Parker.
Guys, I'm still down here in the backstretch chicane, and we talked about saving fuel. Well, for the last 10 laps, it was visible that Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson were saving fuel. They looked 10 to 15 miles an hour slower as we went into the chicane. You're watching Alex Bowman and Ryan Blaney go through it. But Kyle Larson, on the other hand, didn't look like he slowed down at all until the last lap or two. He suddenly visually looked slower, like he's trying to save fuel.
Keselowski, Larson, those two separated by a second. As Bowman continues to get by other cars, they're on the same lap. That puts him very close to getting up tied with Boyer in points, but it's Keselowski and Larson. They are 14 seconds in front of Martin Truex Jr., who's running in 3rd. Kyle Busch is 4th. Jimmy Johnson in 5th. So already we know that Truex, Kyle Busch, and Jimmy Johnson are trying to save fuel. They are on the same strategy, pit strategy, as Kyle Larson, who came at lap 70. With only 13 laps to go, the Keselowski, number 2 of Keselowski, will be hard-pressed to be able to make it to the finish line. But again, he could fall back on the fact that he has won already in this round, and that win ensures him a spot in the second round of the playoffs.
The reason it's so important for Clint Bowyer to keep Alex Bowman close to him, because you've been watching the points on the left. Bowman will pass a guy, and it's 1 point gain until the 14's able to pass him, then it goes back to 2. So if Bowman can drive away and get just 2 spots, it completely changes the game. So it doesn't, Clint Bowyer can't just ride around. Clint Bowyer also has to push. He's got to keep Bowman close to him.
With 12 laps to go, Bowman's got 4 seconds to the next car, Matt DiBenedetto, and then another 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds. The next few positions, Ty Dillon, McDowell, Hemrick, Almirola. He's going to have to drive hard over these next 12 laps to be able to catch those guys, to be able to take those positions.
And if people start running out of fuel late, and Bowyer cannot stay close enough to Bowman, then he might not take advantage of that. Bowman could get by some people and Bowyer not get by him. So that's why Bowyer, he can't just ride around and hope he doesn't make a mistake.
Those 2 points separated, again, just 2 positions. If it comes down to where the 14 and the 88 are tied, the tiebreaker goes to the best finish in this round, which right now, Clint Bowyer holds his 10th place finish at Richmond, better than any finish that Bowman has had in this round. So Bowyer, in the case of a tie, would advance.
This trio, Bowman, Blaney, and Bowyer, are all running the fastest laps of anybody in the field. I think that sliding of the right front tire for the 88 has hurt the balance a little bit on this car, hurt the speed a little bit. It's allowed Blaney to close in.
That example you just showed, Rick, about how close it is, emphasizes how important every race is. You may not think a 10th place finish is a big deal, but it could turn out to be something that keeps you from making the next round of the playoffs. This format, every race matters. Every single race, every lap, every point, it all matters.
And while we're talking about that cut line and the 2 drivers fighting for it, Brad Keselowski just 11 laps away from his first ever road course win. But he's got to start saving fuel. We know that pitting at lap 66, he's going to have to go way past what the fuel window would be or should be if he wants to be able to win this race. Marty.
Rick, I'm up to about 5 or 6 times. Chad Johnson has told Kyle Larson, you have to slow down. We are not going to make it to the end of the race if you do not slow your pace. Same thing for Adam Stevens to Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has come back a couple of times and said, I don't know how I can slow roll the corners much more than what I'm doing right now, but they keep telling these guys, please save me some fuel. Steve, I know it's not fun to be doing that as a crew chief, but something you've got to do if you want to make it to the end of the race.
Well, you have to. You see the last pit on the left-hand side. Brad Keselowski 4 laps worse than Kyle Larson, Truex, Kyle Busch. Truex Jr., got to remember, guys, he won one of these at Watkins Glen, the same sort of idea of fuel mileage, and I believe he's 15 seconds behind Kyle Larson on purpose. I think he set a pace and he stuck to it. I like Martin Truex Jr.'s chances, but Marty, you've said this multiple times. We just don't know what kind of fuel mileage these guys are going to get. This is the first ever race at this track.
So riding along, how do you save fuel? You lift early, you stay off the throttle, you don't accelerate. That's how you save fuel. So let's ride along and look at the throttle. He's not wide open. He's, you know, his crew chief saying, you got to slow down, you got to slow down. Well, he's not even wide open in the throttle. He's all the way out of the throttle right here. Barely any brake, letting the car free roll. That makes it so you don't slow the car down, then have to accelerate. He's on the front straightaway, not even half throttle. Kelly, that's how you save fuel.
Yeah, short shifting, don't use the brake. As you said, 15 seconds behind is the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., and that is by design. They have been in massive fuel-saving mode for quite some time, and they think they're now in the catbird seat. Have a listen.
Keep the updates on left, we got 10-4. We're in the best shape than anybody. If you keep running that pace and get this mileage, we're going to be lapping.
And so again, just a moment ago, Martin asking if he needs to go slower or faster, and the team's telling him, just keep doing what you're doing. We think we're in a good spot.
He just ran the fifth fastest lap of anybody in the field, so even as he's saving, he's got great pace. Larson ran 2 seconds slower that last lap than Truex Jr. So Larson finally listened to that, Chris. Finally starting to save some fuel. Is it too late, though? You can only save so much over the last 8 or 9 laps. You have to work on that the whole time. And what a drive by this 88 of Alex Bowman. Continues to fend off battles from Blaney and the 14 of Boyer.
Look at all those cars that the 88, the 12, the 14, they're looking all of them in front. They're starting to catch them. This is where Bowman needs to do his best to separate himself. It's only 9 to go. They're going to catch him at a place where hypothetically he could get to a 3 and Boyer might not be able to get by him. Dave.
These 3 right here had 3 of the fastest laps the last time by, and you can imagine why. They are racing each other hard as caution comes out now. And what will that change? Brad Keselowski can certainly save a lot of fuel now.
Tums heartburn turn for the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And the caution has come out.
Heavy right side damage.
Under 8 laps to go in this race.
Oh boy.
Crew chief.
Well, Brad Keselowski has nothing to lose. He's going to stay on the racetrack, I imagine, and gamble. The question is, Almirola, Bowman, Blaney, tires? Would the tires matter? Do you stay out and try to force the guys in front to run out of gas? There's just so many different scenarios. We were just pointing out how close the points are, Jeff. 2 positions. Well, 2 positions, I mean, we've seen 6, 8 positions gained and lost on restarts.
Take a look at what happened with Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Will hops down into that corner, gets in there too far and just starts to wheel hop and can't stop. You can't, once the wheels hop begins, there's no runoff here. You're going to hit something.
Sitting in a really bad spot. That's why NASCAR threw the caution, I believe. They were afraid to let him sit there with all the cars coming.
And that wall does some damage, man. We've seen the cars that hit it. I'm surprised it does so much damage to these cars. But
you know, this is, we just showed Denny Hamlin. Now we're showing Eric Jones. Denny's in 15th. Really nothing to lose. They're going to try to make something happen here. I don't know what they can do. They've gotten themselves so far back.
Drivers, who's the best at restarts? Brad Keselowski or Kyle Larson?
So I tell you what I think is going to be huge here, and something they don't have much experience. They've had restarts at this racetrack many, many times, but not on this tire and not on tires that are completely worn out. So how you launch in the restart zone, assuming they don't pit, how you launch in a restart zone on old tires will be huge to keep from spinning those rear tires.
I think the problem is how much is the 42 saved? Can he run hard and get to the finish with the fuel he has? Because I think from what we've seen, the 78 of Truex and Kyle Busch and those guys have saved more. They may be able to put the pressure on him, run faster laps just because they have more fuel. This is what I want to see. Who comes to pit road out of those playoff cars? See
Kurt
Busch, Kevin Harvick. Yeah.
Denny Hamlin. Logano is down there as well. Playoff drivers. Marty.
Yeah, for Kevin Harvick and his race team, they were going to be about 3 to 4 laps short. That caution would have gotten them close enough to make it to the end, but the car not really good enough for Kevin. They're going to come in, take on 4 fresh Goodyear tires, make a chassis adjustment, trying to get the car better for Harvick, who was flirting with falling out of the top 10 there.
There's the 22 of Joey Logano. They opted for fresh tires as well. He just hasn't really been able to get the turn in the 22 that he'd like. Ahead of him is the 41 of Kurt Busch, and their decision was, hey, let's just get fresh tires and drive back through.
And this will make it even more difficult for Bowman and Boyer. So much strategy coming into play, and we look at the 88 of Alex Bowman. Now, Bowman is going to be in a situation where how does he stay above the cut line when it's 1 point separating Bowman and now Eric Almirola in the 10.
I'm more concerned about Boyer. Bowman and Blaney Boyer all stayed on the racetrack. They're on old tires, but guys, the 10 of Eric Almirola, who's also right at that cut line, he comes against fresh tires. It's going to be a 7-lap sprint to see if he can catch those old tires.
I like where Boyer is on the inside. That's the line you want to be on restarts.
And a race for the win as well. Keselowski on the inside, Larson on the outside. Back up through the gears they go. A little shove from Martin Truex Jr. And too hard through one. Keselowski, Larson both into the wall. They pile up and the Tums heartburn turn. Caution coming out again. 6 also involved.
We talked about these drivers. This is the first time they've been on old tires on restarts. The first time at this racetrack, you just don't have a reference to go by. And you heard Brad Keselowski say he just didn't have any grip. He overdrove it.
Yeah, the tire is so hard for this surface to be able to handle what this load is. And when they go in there and you mash the brakes and the car starts sliding, that's it. You're going to hit the fence.
18 behind the wall. Brad Keselowski climbing out of his car.
You talked about it, Jeff, the experience of this type of restart on old tires at this racetrack with that corner, just the lack of experience. You know, most every oval track that do this time and time again, they understand what the grip level is going to be.
Here's the replay.
You see Brad Keselowski, they all launched really well. Nobody really spinning their wheels much. Brad's in trouble right there. He knows he's in trouble, got the left front locked up, and now just nowhere for these guys to go. I think even the 18, he was in too deep.
A lot of guys really did have a lot of trouble getting out of the corner. That is so strange to have so many cars overshoot the same corner on restart.
The understanding of grip, you know, you have to trust that the car, even, and they just, the 21, the 18.
So we've had a lot of laps without a restart through that turn. Guys continuing to run that bottom preferred line and dirtying up that outside line.
Look at our guys battling for that last spot, transferring to playoffs.
What I'm worried about right here, Eric Almirola, he goes out of sight. Well, he gets caught up in it, and the 42 sitting against the wall. Look at the damage on the 42. Guys, we haven't talked about this, but he's only 18 points currently where he sits, and he's scored in the 12th position. There are 31 cars on the lead lap. So there are over 18 points still to be lost for this 42 car, Marty.
And the game has changed for Kyle Larson. You see him sitting in the car, despondent right now. Chad Johnson said that the right front suspension appears to be gone. Kyle said the car will not turn left at all after that contact with Brad Keselowski in the turn one wall. And you see that right front suspension, it's almost gone there for the 42. Then Kyle came back on the radio and said, what's the point in us continuing? He said, I've got to see where this settles out. As you mentioned, Steve, now just plus 18. They go from looking like they might win the race to above the cut line by just 18 points.
You can see the wheel, how badly the wheel is bent. That car took a big shot on that right front suspension.
Tucked up tight with him here. 70's trying to come to the middle with the 2. Still inside. Tight left, tight left.
The only thing that might be saving the 42 is another car that's in trouble is look at Eric Almirola. We'd show the 14 and the 88 get through, but as the 18 comes back across, the cars stack up, and right here, not a lot of contact, but now he's going to be all the way at the back.
I think that outside groove is just so dirty because we haven't had a restart in a long time. We haven't had guys running through there side by side to clean that groove up. And that outside groove, you know, a lot of guys, not just Brad, a lot of guys were not going to make that corner.
Well, you said that. Let's go on board. Once again, let's do that again with Kyle Larson. Gets a good launch, changes gears, lifts, watch, look at his hands. He's turning the wheel, nothing's happening. He was not going to make that corner, even if Brad would not have been there. That was just not understanding how much grip these tires have. They don't have anything, there's no reference for these guys. It's new track, new tire. They've never been in this situation before. They drove in there like they normally would at, say, Watkins Glen or Sonoma, and it just did not stick. No banking whatsoever, just a flat corner.
Well, red flag has come out, and 6 laps to go. Parker.
Well, Rick, I'm down here on the backstretch where they've stopped all these cars on the red flag, and the first thing that jumps out to me is the damage that so many of them have incurred. If you look at our leader, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., his actual nose is caved in there right where it says Toyota and Camry. Behind him, you've got the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. You just see a little bit of damage on that left side skirt, maybe from jumping the curves. Behind him is Chase Elliott. Looks relatively clean. His car looks very clean, but then as you get further back, you look at the 1 of Jay McMurray, very damaged. The 14 of Clint Boyer completely caved in on the nose, and then behind that it looks like basically a short track or post the big one at Talladega. Every one of these cars is beat up in some form or fashion. This Roval has been brutal.
They're stopped on the racetrack. They're going to clean up the Tums Heartburn turn in turn number 1, and then they will roll them again. But race leader Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson into the wall, many of the playoff contenders having a problem. And still under a red flag condition here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. The 42 of Kyle Larson was running second. He was pushing Brad Keselowski as far as for the win. But remember, the caution that came out just before this accident was from Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who got into turn 1 too hot, got in there, slammed into the wall, and couldn't get going. That's why the caution came out. Well, if that caution wouldn't have come out, Kyle Larson feels like he would have had an opportunity. He showed his frustration as he went by the 17. Because the caution came out, they had the restart. This happened. So now instead of Kyle Larson potentially racing for the win, he potentially will end up fighting just to stay in the playoffs.
You got to think about the guys that got knocked out of that crash that he could try to finish in front of. The 18, maybe the 6 car, the 2 car, the 21 car. Those are the cars that he's going to have to try to finish ahead of if they cannot continue in this race.
Assuming this car can get around the racetrack.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the thing. We don't know what else is damaged.
They're going to have to try.
Oh, they're going to try.
Yeah, they're going to have to try to get a couple laps out of that car under caution to be able to be scored in front of whoever cannot make it beyond this wreck.
Well, it has been interesting with all the playoff drivers, the drivers in the round of 16.
Eric Jones had to go to the back to start the race, as well as the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
The restart, an issue right off the start of this race. Saw it early. Eric Jones had damage.
There you go, Eric Almirola in the wall trying to avoid the 24 of William Byron on pit road. He has a tire, get carried away there, and then through the grass into the Bojangles sign. Had a rough day.
And the 3 of Austin Dillon, he gets up into the wall on the high banks of the oval. They come in, they repair it, but then he makes another mistake. He said he went over the curbing too hard, and you see the right front tire gives way. This crash forced him to the garage. Done for the day. A first playoff driver to officially retire.
See Kyle Larson on this restart. Now he has to hope they can get this car fixed. Right along. Yeah, he's trying to make this corner. See his hands at turn. I just not sure he would ever made that corner. Certainly would have lost a bunch of spots at the very least.
Now it's just a question of, can the 42 continue? And if the 42 continue, where is Blaney, the 88 of Alex Bowman, the 10 of Eric Almirola? Those 3 cars currently right at the cut line, plus or minus a point. That's the race, Rick. That's the race to see whose playoff hopes continue out of the Roval.
Closing in on the final 5 laps of this race, and the cleanup in turn 1 about done, and that means that we're that much closer to post-race coverage, which will come up right after this race, and then victory lap on NBCSN at 6 o'clock. Krista, Kyle, and DJ will be with us for post-race coverage as well as victory lap.
Rick, as you see, look, it's hanging out in Victory Lane. That's the place everyone wants. DJ,
man, he is chilling.
They're just taking it easy. Dave.
And we're just seeing Brad walk out of the care center, wondering what happened to Ricky Stenhouse Jr., whose crash looked quite similar to Brad's. Brad's, yours was on the restart. A lot of unknowns here today, and one of them was restarts on old tires at the end of the race. What happened?
Yeah, I was just asking Ricky. I don't know. The whole field went down in turn one, it looked like, and we all went straight. So I don't know. Maybe we all overdrove it, or maybe the track had something on it. I don't know. But I got it in the corner. I didn't feel like I got in it. I mean, I got it hard, but not like ridiculously hard, and just locked up and couldn't get the tire to unlock. So I felt really, really dumb when I hit the wall, and then I got back in the care center and saw the replay and saw everybody kind of did the same thing. And I don't know, just kind of frustrating, but I really got to give a lot of credit to Paul Wolf and the team on the Alliance Truck Parts for this. This car was a rocket. You know, I wrecked the car in practice, and we unloaded this car just for the race, and it was screaming fast, and thought we were going to win today. Just didn't come together.
Looked like for a second time in this round you were going to show everyone why you belonged in the next round, Brad.
Yeah, and then I kind of did opposite at the end, but that's the way it goes.
Right, big day for him until the very end there. Brad Keselowski very fast at the Roval.
He had led 29 laps. Kyle Larson had led 47 laps of this race. But what could have ended up being the final restart, turn one captured quite a few of the competitors. Make sure to join us next Sunday on NBCSN as the round of 8 begins in the Monster Energy Cup Series playoffs from the concrete track known as the Monster Mile. It's actually going to be the round of 12. Dover, that race coverage begins at 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, there'll be 12 drivers. We're only eliminating 4, so 16 down to 12 at the end of this race. And still under a red flag condition. The cleanup continuing. They want to make sure that everything, all the fluid has been picked up. Now the car's starting to fire up. And they will go from red to yellow. They will then open pit road. You see the cars that are involved in the wreck. We will give you the updated standings once they come back by the start-finish line, because those have not been reset with everyone that was involved in the accident. It has just changed from a red to a yellow flag condition, so the cars will begin to fire up and roll back around. This is why we were under a red flag condition. This accident in turn one on the restart.
What a move by Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, Bowman, Blaney, Boyer. They all got to the bottom and missed that accident. God, there's so many scenarios. We have questions about Kyle Larson and can he continue? We have questions about Bowman, Blaney, Boyer, and how they're going to end up. And I was just sitting here, Rick, I have some concern, even for Jimmy Johnson sitting in second. I mean, it's not crazy to think we could have a bunch of overtimes. Maybe he could get low on fuel, right, guys? I mean, I'm not sure Jimmy Johnson can be aggressive to try to win this race or not.
Maybe even one overtime would be the problem. Marty.
And Chad Knaus just gave him that update, Steve and Rick, a moment ago. He said, right now, where we stand, we're plus 8 points above the cut line. Again, we'll wait for scoring to refresh here in just a moment. But we're plus 2 laps on fuel, the most important part. So we should be good to make it to the end. And he told him we can go for the win here, Parker.
Marty, back here where all the cars were sitting for the red flag, they all just drove away because we're back under yellow, but the 88 has rolled here. He has not been able to fire that car. They're going to bring a wrecker up behind him. We'll see if he's able to fire this. Could be disaster here if he can't. We'll see. I'll take a listen. He's able to get it fired. There he goes. Whoa, 10 times.
And he'll get his spot back. If your car can't start on a red flag situation, you can go, they'll push you off. It fires. As long as it fires off, you can go get your spot back.
So again, the timing and scoring is going to reset. There are drivers on pit road. Marty.
And here comes Kyle Larson, literally limping to pit road. They're going to do the best they can here, and they have looked at everything, Rick, trying to assess the damage as best they can from our broadcast and trying to figure out what they need to do. According to Chad Johnson, the best they can do right now is finish 32nd. So they're going to try and get all this damage fixed and minimize the damage of the day and hopefully advance to round 2.
So you see him cutting the parts off of the car. They want to be able to limp around the racetrack to get their best finish. Dave.
Kyle Busch has been released from the infield care center on that last restart. Kyle, what was so different about it as far as grip or anything else goes?
We've just been out there the longest we had been on tires, and I guess all of us are just stupid.
don't know where to brake for the corner considering what our tires look like. And so we just all drove off into a 90-degree wall for something to do because we had nothing else better to do. So that kind of sucked, but I guess it's a good thing it didn't matter for us.
That's right. Coming in here with insurance, this is okay in one sense.
I mean, you hate tearing up race cars and whatnot, but I guess they're road course cars anyway, so you don't necessarily need them anytime soon. But overall, just, you know, not a good day for us. It was going to be a fine day. If we could have made it through that corner and had those other two guys out of our way, then it was a race between the 78 and us, but doesn't matter now.
Kyle's done for the day. Had a good day going in the 18 until, Rick.
Until that restart. And we're going to have another restart. And so, as Kyle mentioned, all those laps on the tires, well, that goes for Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, and Jamie McMurray. All came to pit road on lap 70. So they also have a lot of laps on their tires for the next restart. Coming up on the final laps of NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series racing in the Bank of America Roval 400. NASCAR America at 5 o'clock weekdays on NBCSN. And Junior, who do you have as a guest on Wednesdays with Dale Jr.?
Got Penske driver Joey Logano coming on the show. Should be a lot of fun to talk to him. See if we can get him to say something. That'll be interesting.
Logano currently running 11th in today's race, and 42 of Kyle Larson came back to pit road.
And he got off pit road before the clock expired, so he's not going to be eliminated. But you see this car here, I don't believe it's going to make minimum speed. He's just going to try to complete 1 or 2 laps. The whole question is the points. Kyle Larson currently is running in the 26th position. There's a few more spots to lose if he loses another lap, and he only has 5 points over the 10 of Eric Almirola, who's currently 25th, and the 10 doesn't look very damaged, Jeff. I think the 10 could continue. I mean, I say not very damaged for the Roval.
Yeah, Eric Almirola is going to have about 3 laps to go get 6 spots. If he can get 6 spots, he can move that 42 out. Marty.
And you saw that right front for Kyle Larson. It's barely hanging on. That right front suspension is gone. He said the car will barely turn to the left. The banking certainly will help him here on the oval portion of the track. But you guys are right. 5 points really separating these guys. This is going to be an interesting final few laps.
Coming up on the restart, it'll be 3 laps of racing to go. Now out front, can Martin Truex Jr. hang on to win? Or will Jimmy Johnson snap the 51 race winless streak? Those two side by side. 3 laps to go from the Charlotte Roval.
They got to be careful getting into turn 1. We just saw what happened. They're going to have to check up, go slower than you think.
And seen a lot of tire smoke, but back in the field, Martin Truex Jr. out in front. 2 wide now, fighting for that 4th spot. That's Blaney that's moved up into 4th.
See the back of the screen, way in the back of the screen, their white car, Eric Almirola just coming into picture. There he goes, he sees a spot, needs to get it.
Yeah, he needs to be aggressive here with these guys while he can.
3 spots now, 3 points separating the 42 and the 10 for the final transfer spot.
So watch this battle. Jimmy Johnson still has about 8 car lengths to catch the 78, so the race up front has a little room. That's where we're showing you Eric Almirola. That is the playoff transfer spot between him and the 42 of Larson.
Still inside 23. Clear the 23.
And 3 wide as they get ready to enter the chicane on the backstretch. We haven't seen that yet.
That 23 car, he was a lap down, so that really wasn't a spot.
It's still 3 points separating 3 spots.
Coming to 2 to go.
2 to go. Still out front. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Almirola, who is running 23rd. The next car for position for him will be Daniel Hemrick, the 8, just in front of him. 1 point now separating. It's Alex Bowman and the 10.
1 point, 1 point.
You hear the spotter telling him. The fight for the win on the right side of the screen. Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson. They dive into turn 7.
Jimmy Johnson, man, he's got a really good car here. I thought Martin Truex Jr. would drive away after that restart. Jimmy really doesn't have to win this race. He just needs to finish to be able to get into the next round, but he's going for the win.
They'll be coming up on the white flag. 1 to go. Look at Almirola fighting to get by that 8.
Clear.
One position, 1 point.
And Alex Bowman's in a mess as well, running in the 5th or 7th position.
He just passed his teammate Chase Elliott on the back straightaway.
And a tiebreaker between the 10 and the 88 would go to the 10 of Almirola.
Almirola caught those two guys side by side. Unfortunately for him, oh, an aggressive move. Is this going to work?
Final lap. The 10 making contact with Suarez. The 8 almost goes around, able to save it.
That pass for Bowman over Elliott puts him in.
And Almirola passing Suarez will eliminate the 42, I believe, as we have a race for the lead on the right side of the screen.
42 drops below the cutoff line. Now the race for the win on the right side.
I think Jimmy Johnson, big wreck. Almirola made it through. I think Jimmy Johnson has enough points. He can push the issue right here. We had a lot of people have problems.
The fight for the win, the fight for the playoff transfer.
He's going to have to come out of this chicane, turn 12. He's going to have to come out of there on the back bumper, that 78, to make a move in the braking zone of 16 and 17.
Yeah, so 48's only 7 points to the good, so he may not afford it, but
look, he's there. What a great corner.
Here they come through the final banked curve at Charlotte Roval. Now he goes to the inside. Here comes Jimmy Johnson. Locks the brakes up.
Oh, he's
and he's going to slide. He slides through the middle. Truex gets tagged. Now it'll be a fight for the finish line. Ryan Blaney in the 12 will win.
He stopped. He came to a full stop to make sure that he was good with NASCAR. Where's he going to finish? It's showing 1 point to the good.
Oh, my goodness.
And
we don't know. That's not definite. That's not definite.
Or crashing.
We will have to find out as far as if there is any penalties for missing the chicane.
But 48 stopped after the spin. So in understanding the rule, I'm not sure if he's going to be scored correctly, but it appeared to me that if he did skip the chicane, he came to a stop. But how about Ryan Blaney? Who knew?
Ryan Blaney able to make it through the carnage. It's good to be lucky sometimes.
Hey, listen. Trophies, they come with stories, good, bad, or indifferent. The idea is to fill the trophy case. What a race for this 12 car.
And at this racetrack, to put yourself in position, nothing's lucky here, I don't think. That wasn't a lucky win. That was doing a good job all day long, surely taking advantage, but being in that position is difficult today.
48, 78.
After the race.
Look at that. That was after the checkered flag had been out, and Martin Truex Jr. showing his frustration. Again, this was the final 2 turns. They were coming up on 16 and 17.
Wow. Jimmy trying to get down in that corner too hard.
Now Jimmy stops here. Watch. Now, stop. So I believe the 48's going to be good on his scoring, and Ryan Blaney sneaks through.
Jimmy Johnson driving hard in the corner, just too much speed. Truex saw it, tried to avoid him, just couldn't avoid him.
And Blaney sneaks through.
Look how close. 1 point for Jimmy Johnson. Man,
all the scoring still unofficial.
We have to see, what NASCAR does.
Ryan Blaney. Well, sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. And Blaney had put himself in the right place. Coming back in front of the grandstands. What a show the folks here at Charlotte Motor Speedway have seen today. He grabs the second checkered flag in his Monster Energy Cup Series career. Second career win for Ryan Blaney. and the first winner ever at the Charlotte Roval. Ryan Blaney, the 24-year-old from High Point, North Carolina, climbs out of the car and the crowd roars. This moment presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long. Rutledge.
Ryan Blaney with a smile, and what a huge win here at the Roval.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. Sometimes it's better to be a little bit of luck on your side, and you know, we put ourselves in that spot though, so I can't thank the 12 group enough for sticking with it all weekend. It was a long weekend and tough weekend, and just kind of avoided some stuff, and you know, you hate to see two guys get into it there and take each other out. Two of the best cars all day, but you know, that's racing sometimes, and luckily we were just in the right spot at the right time, and cool to be in victory lane and move on to the next round. Thank you all the fans for coming. Did you guys like it? Good. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Roach.
Did you see on that chicane, where did you realize, oh man, I got a shot at this?
So I couldn't really see them when they got in the chicane. I just saw a bunch of smoke, and there was some smoke the lap before, and I saw them really, really close to each other in the oval track, and I was like, yeah, something might happen. You just, you know, you're not really hoping something will happen. You're thinking that something's going to happen, and when I saw both of them spinning, I almost wrecked trying to gas up to beat both of them to the line, but like I said, just in the right spot, the right time. Thank you, Pennzoil, Menards, Body Armor, PPG, Dex, everyone who helps out in this thing. This is pretty cool, and excited to move on to the next round, man. This is cool.
Ryan Blaney, your winner. We will see you in victory lane.
So NASCAR is still checking as far as points and finishing position. There were so many cars that were wrecking right at the finish of the race. Unofficially, our scoring has 3 drivers tied right now. And so one of those the 3 drivers are Kyle Larson, Eric Almirola, and Jimmy Johnson. Oh, look at that. Another fan for life. And it started off being a Kyle Busch fan. You see the shirt? He gave it to a Kyle Busch fan. How about that from Ryan Blaney?
I better win him over.
Absolutely.
So we talked about the unofficial. So there's so many things. We have the 70 and the 48 accidents. We have to figure out where the 48 crosses the line. We also have an issue with Jeffrey Earnhardt and whether he finished or didn't versus Kyle Larson. So we have a lot of stuff. So this car right here, you're going to see the 96 get spun out. Why this matters is because Kyle Larson needs this spot. So Jeffrey Earnhardt is sitting here backwards, and look at Larson into the wall, passes Jeffrey Earnhardt coming to the line. That's for a position. That's for a point. And because of that, there is now a question mark. We have the 42, the 10, and the 48 unofficially tied in the points. We knew the front stretch chicane was going to be exciting, guys, but it has made a difference more than just the winner. It's going to decide who moves forward in the playoffs.
Still has a shot at the championship. That's what this will determine once all of the positions are official. You see Jimmy Johnson. He is one of the drivers right now that is unsure, because as our scoring monitor shows it, it shows him out based on the tiebreaker.
Yeah, in a tiebreaker, the 42 would win over the 10 and the 48.
The 48 had the worst finish. The tiebreaker being the best finish in this round of the playoffs. The 42 finished second. The 10th had the 5th place finish, and the 48 with an 8th place finish, which is today.
And you see the 7-time champion waiting. And we're hearing from NASCAR now, it's official. Jimmy Johnson this year will not have a shot to make it 8 championships, Dave.
So we're just bringing that news to Jimmy now. With that finish, Jimmy, you are officially out. You will not move on to the next round. Describe for us coming to 15, knowing that there was one shot for the win.
Yeah, I was more worried about the win than anything else. And I hate that I started wheel hopping and took Martin and I out. That's the last thing that I wanted to do. And I put pressure on him into turn 3. He washed up. And I thought that I was going to be in the prime braking zone going into that final turn and have a shot at it. And when I went to the brakes, it started locking the rears and wheel hopping, and I didn't think I hit him at first. I knew I was spinning, obviously, but I guess I collected him in my spin, and certainly regret doing that. And then ultimately, you know, we were in a transfer position and didn't get it. So just going for the win. You know, it's these wins are so important, and you know, the veteran could have taken the safe route and didn't, and unfortunately, you know, took us out of the playoffs and took out the 78.
He quickly processed what he had to do. Unfortunately, could not get across the line, Rick, quick enough to save his playoff hopes this year.
And it was that finish, the chaotic finish of the 42. Take a look at this.
This is before the chicane. And here, keep coming because the 96 is here wrecked.
Drop the wall, drive off the wall.
Think about that.
Wow.
Hustle it. You've got to beat the 96. He knew you had to get past the 96, and he ended up in a tie. There was a three-way tie between the 42, the 10, and the 48. And this pass right here allows Kyle Larson to move on to the playoffs.
I cannot believe what I'm seeing. That's after 3 races. An entire round.
This is the first cutoff race.
So when you see guys racing next week in the first race of that playoff, that's why. 1 point. 1 point. That was the difference. You got to get all you can every single race.
Not to mention Eric Almirola. We showed you his battle on those last 2 laps through traffic, working those new tires to tie Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Larson.
That's how much every position counts. 3 drivers at the end of the cutoff elimination race ended in a tie. Marty.
What a time for Ryan Blaney to get win number 1 of 2018. It's just more special in the playoffs, and it's even better when it's a cut race. You know, sometimes the best place to be on the last lap, Ryan, is in 3rd place, isn't it? How did the seas part by your view?
I don't know, man. It's honestly, you hate sometimes to see, you know, that happen. You hate to see 2 of the best cars wreck, but I don't know. You just try to capitalize on the circumstances given to you, and you know, we were in the right spot at the right time, and we're able to sneak through there. I almost wrecked trying to get back to the gas to get through there, but like I said, we put ourselves in a good spot, and I can't thank the 12 group enough for sticking with me all weekend. It was a long weekend for us. I hit a lot of stuff, and clearly I still did. And just happy it worked out. Happy to not only win, but to advance. And it was looking pretty tight, but I can't think of a better group of guys to be with, and looking forward to round 2. Pretty cool.
As he mentioned, Ryan Blaney advances the best way you can, Parker, with a win.
No doubt, and Marty, the tension was palpable down here beside Kyle Larson for the last 5 minutes. You were out at the beginning when you first got out of the car, then officially find out you're in a 3-way tie, and then we were laughing watching how you beat Jeff Earnhardt there in the last couple of corners. You ever been through anything like this?
I'd kind of given up there the last lap. I'd seen the 88 made a couple passes, and that's who it sounded like we were, you know, in the points battle there with, and I'd seen the pylon. He'd gained spots. Knew I was screwed. Then they said they were all crashing over here, and I mean, it had to be 45 seconds by the time I got back over there, so I ran really hard through 1 and 2. We had a lot of right front damage, so we kind of knew our right front would blow if I ran hard, but I ran hard through 3 and 4 of the oval, and blew right front and hammered the fence, and I could see the 96 was still stopped, and I knew I needed that point to get to the tiebreaker and hit the wall again, and thankfully got the tiebreaker. But at the same time, you know, I'm happy to make it in the next round. I'm disappointed we didn't get the win today. I felt like I had the fastest car. Would have liked the race to play out there, you know, and stay green, because it sounded like Brad was really short on fuel, and we were going to be able to make it, I thought, after all the stuff or fuel we've been saving. But didn't work out, and then we had that restart, and I knew it'd be tight through 1. I knew it wouldn't turn great, but I didn't know we'd all go down there and not be able to turn at all. I was going to be lucky to make the corner, and then the 2 came, I mean, straight through and hit the wall head on, and then I ran into his back bumper and destroyed it right front. So I was pretty mad at myself there, but I guess we're in. So we'll move on to next week and try and get a good second round. Those are some good tracks for us the next round, aside from, you know, Talladega, which anybody can be good there, but we'll see how it goes.
A crazy range of emotions, guys, for Kyle Larson.
Absolute roller coaster today as far as emotions and what we saw. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney win the 3 races of round 1. And Eric Almirola will advance. After the 3 races of round 1, 3 drivers ended up in a tie for the 11th, 12th, and 13th position. The tiebreaker is the best finishes of the round. You see Kyle Larson had a 2nd. Almirola had a 5th at Richmond. The best finish that Jimmy Johnson had was today, 8th, and Richmond 8th. That was not enough. Dave.
And he's just been told it is official, but boy, by a hair. Can you believe it?
No. Man, what a day. We battled adversity all day. I knew going into today it was going to be a stressful day, and being plus 23, I didn't feel that great. I knew I wasn't going to be great here, and I just kind of came into it the mentality of just survive. And it seemed like every opportunity we had to not survive came up. The 24 blew right in front of me, and I creamed the wall. Then guys spun out in front of me and destroyed our race car again, and thankfully the radiator and oil cooler lived, and these guys on this team did a heck of a job fixing it up every time we were involved in an accident. It seemed like every time there was melee, it happened to us. So I am so proud of all these guys on the Smithfield team, and we've been bringing really fast Ford Fusions to the racetrack. This weekend, I kind of knew, just like I said, survive. These next racetracks coming up for us are really, really good. So I told Johnny when we came in here, leaving here +1 will be fine with me. I guess +0 is good enough too. So just really blessed. I want to thank the Lord. He's given me this opportunity, and Gene Haas and Tony Stewart and everybody for believing in me, and everybody at Smithfield. We're moving on in the playoffs. First time in my career moving on to the round of 12, and we're going to go get them. We're playing with house money now.
He moves on with a great first round.
And so what will the next round, the round of 12, the second round of the playoffs look like? Well, all the points are reset to 3,000, and then any playoff points that you earn during the regular season or this first round advance with you. So you see how everyone stacks up. Dover, Talladega, and Kansas the next round. And just like a true driver, they're already starting to look ahead at the next race. I don't know how you can put this one behind you yet.
Well, I think that's the point. It's a 3-race round. Think of everything that could have changed these results. 1 position at Richmond, 1 position at Las Vegas. I'm not sure which battle I wanted to watch in the closing laps here. Was it the battle for the win? Was it Eric Almirola back in traffic? Was it Alex Bowman who was fighting with his teammate Chase Elliott? Every position matters, every lap, every stage. Points can never be more valuable. We have just proven it once again. And, I mean, it even took us. We had to figure out for an official finish. Poor Jeffrey Earnhardt gets in an accident. It helps the 42 advance. We knew the Roval was going to be crazy. I don't think even we could have guessed at that closing lap.
I think the word chaos came up so many times today. Well, let's hear from our drivers.
Well, first of all, the Roval was a lot of controversy whether to do it or not, but after today, we're coming back. There's no doubt we're coming back. And, you know, I can't help but think about Jimmy Johnson and how he feels right now, making that decision to try to go for the win. You know, you always want to win the race, but maybe that wasn't the right time to do that. I know he's going to not probably sleep very well tonight.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of these guys are going to sleep very well tonight. Some of them because they're going to celebrate going into that second round. I need a couple days off after watching that. That was just a lot of drama at the end of that race. So many, you know, things happening between those guys at that bubble spot. And yeah, I feel bad. I feel terrible for Jimmy Johnson because he's trying to go for the win, do what he knows to do as the champion that he is, gets in trouble, and takes his entire team out of the opportunity to go into the next round. So that's a tough deal, but that's racing. The highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and he's going to suffer some defeat. But you got guys that are happy, guys that are going on, and it's going to be, I mean, think about how exciting this has been. Just one round, and we've seen such incredible drama. I can't wait till next week in Dover.
And also with that move that Jimmy Johnson made, we just talked about how important points are. Well, guess who had playoff points taken away from them? Martin Truex Jr. There was 5 playoff points sitting right there for him a few seconds away, and when Jimmy Johnson made that mistake, those 5 points went to Blaney, moving him along. So will those 5 points cost Martin Truex Jr. in the future? Only time will tell.
Charlotte Motor Speedway made a huge gamble, changing from a 1.5 mile oval to a road course and an oval. Well, a lot of questions were answered incredible racing and some pretty wild crashes that ended up happening. The big crash at the end allowed Ryan Blaney to get the win. Let's go to Krista, Kyle, and DJ now.